welcome to the uh, second and third place match of the Rutgers Spring Semester Showdown. This tournament has been running for about 2 months now, so if this is the first time you've seen it, well, welcome. You are here for the second to last best of five. Winner of this will be playing Scarlet Vengeance in the finals of this tournament. Um, the draft already went ahead because we had a bit of some streaming delays, and also as of now, I will be having to solo cast. So if you are tired of my voice, I guess get off. You might have to exit the stream. But otherwise, welcome to this second and final, second to last match. We'll just get straight into this champ select. We do have live Jimmy and Friends on the left side of the screen, while we have um, on the red team we do have live Wo-Chien reaction. Both of these teams have played in several Rutgers tournaments, so they have both created a lot of rosters and a lot of distinct styles that they've played throughout the years. And from this, we have been able to see a lot of good games from them, and we're hoping for a good series between both of them today. In the meantime, we do have some interesting first an interesting first draft. We have Kakma Emilio on the blue team, which is a bread and butter. They're just a strong hyper carry with Milio has just been really dominant in this past meta. Meanwhile, it seems that Live Wo-Chien reaction sticking to that engaged support with trying to really make sure that Killian and their mid laner Sammy are able to succeed on their champions. That will likely be a Riven mid, knowing that Sammy, who is playing mid lane on that team, is a pretty uh pretty strong Riven player. I'm pretty sure. He was a Riven main at some point, but yes, that should be a Riven mid to counterpick the Silas mid. In the meantime, otherwise, we do just have generally this stylistic comps from both teams. Jimmy and Friends drafting a standard front to back, trying to draft 3 strong lanes, and being able to draft a strong jungler to be able to pilot for Noman to pilot and be able to create those leads for those lanes. Meanwhile, again, Live Wo-Chien reaction really trying to make sure that Killian Sammy dual carry combo really shines as much as possible with generally an engage support and also the use of enchanters in the jungle position. In the meantime, we do have a few interesting matchups to mention. Bot lane, I will say, will definitely depend on. Actually, almost all of these lanes will definitely depend on the level of proficiency that these players have on these champions. I don't know how confident most of these players are on these champs because not all of them are well-known signature picks for those players. But as of now, just to clarify a few things, we do have for the side of live Wo-Chien reaction, they have the I don't know the name of their top laner actually, but damn, I need a okay. All I can say is I'll figure out the names later. My bad. All I remember is that there is definitely Killian is in the ADC position. Sammy is in the mid position, and Lion de Grad, I think, is in the support position, and that has just been a pretty standard combo that Live Wo-Chien reaction and that team has been able to play through. Sammy historically has been a top laner, so that role swap has seemed to work pretty well for them, especially in this tournament. Meanwhile, on the side of Jimmy and Friends, we do have an interesting new roster that's getting played. Meanwhile, One Def Power Spike is still support and Moment is still in the jungle, but we will be seeing Kuya Kim continuing to play the mid lane, with Dahan continuing to stick with that role swap to top, and Fried Chicken in as the ADC for today. Uh, that will right now we'll go into a short break, but once we get back, we'll see who is able to take this first initial lead in game one of Jimmy and Friends versus Live Wo-Chien Reaction. We'll be right back. And welcome back to game one of Jimmy and Friends versus Live Wo-Chien Reaction. Just to go through. Oh, so I now know. Now we know. Sandom is the top laner of Live Wo-Chien, and Stan Malicious is uh the jungler. But as we get into the first game. Sorry for a little bit of a technical issue on my end, but now we are into the first game of Jimmy and Friends versus Live Wo-Chien Reaction. Alright, so both of these teams, again, have had a lot of history in a lot of these Rutgers tournaments. They've been played by, they've both played with a lot of different rosters, and I'm pretty sure, ooh, just wait, and we are back, cool. They've both played in, a lot of these players have been able to get a lot of success actually in this tournament, and now they are playing for either second or third place. Loser of this is third place and then finished with this tournament. Meanwhile, second will be, technically they're not second actually, they'll just be advancing to the finals to be able to play for the actual grand prize and everything else, the bragging rights, I don't know, everything. Okay, so a good thing to mention is right at the start we do see some interesting options from both teams. We do see Killian has opted into the teleport on Ezreal along with Conqueror, trying to go for a lot of those more extended trades and being able to create good team fighting potential for his team later on and carry those late game fights. Meanwhile, we also have on the side of Jimmy and Friends, I would say the most notable thing for the side of itemization and runes initially, we do see a Conqueror on the Vi, meaning that the Vi does want to take a little more of those extended trades and create more of a secure than play for a more aggressive assassin burst type style. Meanwhile, we do have a little bit of trading going on in the bot lane. One Death Power Spike going up for a little cheeky auto. But yeah, besides for that, what's a really important matchup in this game is going to be this Killian Sammy matchup in the mid lane. And no matter how this matchup goes, it will decide a lot of the game because the skirmishing power and potential that Silas and Riven unlock for both of these teams, and the ability for both of those champs to want to be able to take those early fights and skirmishes will greatly decide the fight. Meanwhile, as I say that, Wo-Chien stepping up a little bit, trying to trade into Sammy, but Sammy goes in and gets the first blood and solo kill. That will be treated back. However, the first blood will go to Sammy, and I'm pretty sure that wave might even be bouncing back towards Sammy. Wo-Chien will have to TP in to get a little bit of a shove on that. And probably a little bit of a miscalculation there from Wo-Chien, thinking that the E-Connect, probably just tossing it out there and seeing if he can fish for it, but actually Sammy does have the damage to be able to finish the kill there, and that's just a really huge first blood, especially in that really volatile lane that I was just talking about. Meanwhile, we do have Noman looking on the side, onto this bot side here. Lion and Grotto in a little bit of trouble here. One Death Power Spike popping the campfire. Lion of Grotto trying to get out, but has to just go on to Noman. Flashes out, decides to pull back in, and that might cost him his life. Fried Chicken gets his first kill of the game, and that's onto a really strong Milio Kog'Maw combo. In the meantime, we do have a bit of that trading in the top lane. Top lane, okay, it's top lane. Okay, I'm not gonna try to make anything here. Meanwhile, I will say it's just really important for the side of Jimmy and Friends to be able to pick up those kills on this Kog'Maw Milio bot lane, one of the big carries for this team. Meanwhile, though, Stanalicious is here with the Ivern. The flash of One Death Power Spike is used. Lion of Grotto connects the first Q. The second Q will connect, and that will just be a quick pickup for Stanalicious on the Ivern, and that will slightly even out a lot of the trading. To be fair, support itemization is pretty strong right now, so getting those early kills will really accelerate this Ivern into a much better spot. However, it's going to really matter on how a lot of these players are able to use their leads. A kill on Kog'Maw is really powerful, along with also all the kill so far all the kills I would say are on pretty in pretty decent hands. It just depends on how the teams will try to snowball off of the potential gold leads. Meanwhile, we have a little bit of a heist going on. Stanalicious able to just show the power of that Ivan champion and just how quickly it is able to counter jungle those camps. Meanwhile, Kuya Kim trying to take a trade. Nolman instantly flashes in to try to make sure that there is a potential kill on Sammy, but Sammy just single-handedly chunks, and Stanalicious just walks in casually, slaps the shield, and Sammy is just fine. 2 kills for this Riven, and the counter pick is working perfectly for the side of live Wo-Chien reaction. And just this Riven pickup is actually showing so much power, and the on its ability to be able to skirmish Sylas. Sylas generally struggling into a lot of those more all-in melee champions in this early game. Champs like Sett and Riven just doing so well into that champion. And as we are seeing here, Live Wo-Chien Reaction takes that approach, and they are being able to thoroughly punish this Sylas pickup, which does have a lot of good ultis later on into the game. Meanwhile, we have just it's just going to be really important to see how that lead from on the side of Sammy does extend if possible, or if Jimmy and friends will be able to pull back some type of potential lead, especially with stuff like this the Kog'Maw just being able to create so much pressure. The Jax should be able to create some advantages. I'm pretty sure this matchup is Jack's favorite. However, we are seeing that the Mordekaiser is winning out on a lot of these trades right now. So as of now, Live Wo-Chien Reaction sitting pretty comfortably in this spot. And but they do need to understand that Jax does have really strong scaling. Kog'Maw has this really strong scaling. So if anything, it is on the side of Live Wo-Chien Reaction to be able to push a lot of these leads. Sandom is going to bring Dahan into the Death Realm. Dahan will have to flash, and that will be a trade of abilities in that position. Meanwhile, Nolman found Stanalicious. Stanalicious is trying to do this counter jungle again onto this Raptors, but Nolman trying to say, no, I want to punish this, but Sammy is here. You don't have a mid laner. It's so hard to punish. One Def Power Spike may even fall too, as Killian snipes him from downtown. Fried Chicken having to try to get himself out. Kuya Kim trying to get this chunk onto Lion of Grotto. Lion getting himself a bit out, but decides to go back in as he's just confident he has the CC. For Killian also being able to pick up a second kill, and Sammy barely getting himself out after trying to extend onto Fried Chicken. And that is just 3-0 for the side of Live Wo-Chien Reaction. Another huge pickup for that team. Meanwhile, we have a little bit of trading from the side of Nolman's. Killian will probably fall here, but he does have the flash. Lion also gets a flash down, and they are able to just get out there, both at a sliver of HP. Nolman barely getting out. No, sorry, Killian and Lion both barely getting out of the range of this engage from Nolman, but Nolman's going back in 1-for-1. The shutdown does go to the vibe, but that will still be a little bit the 1-for-1 is still a little bit of an issue, even though the gold is better placed for the side of Jimmy and friends, as that dragon does still fall to the side of Live Wo-Chien Reaction. And again, the lead of Live Wo-Chien Reaction just continues to extend in this game. Meanwhile, we do have, it's just a lot of good gameplay from Sammy and Stanalicious to be able to set up so many kills for their team, along with even Lion setting up a few kills for Killian here. And they're just starting to snowball a lot of these leads out of control already. We see a 3k gold lead at this 10-minute mark. And meanwhile, as I say that, Sammy and Stan Delicious are looking for another kill, rooted and probably cleaved, and that is it. Kuya Kim, a 4th death this game, and again, this Solace pick just getting punished into the ground. It is going to be so hard for Jimmy and friends to be able to come back into this game, but still, you can't really count this team out. They've shown a lot of comebacks in the past, and Nolman here is starting to show some punish onto this Ivern champion. Ivern is trying to walk out. Dahan is finally punishing that Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser finally falls. Sandrum will finally fall to this Jax, but Nolman will get actually solo killed by the Ivern. Ivern just such a strong champion right now with the skirmishing power and the ultimate basically being another champion in this time. You're never really playing a 1v1 against Ivern when he has ulti at this stage in the game. And just a solo kill for the side of Stanalicious and another pickup for the Ivern. And again, I might be on Jimmy and friends to try to slow down this game a little bit. They're trying to finish the game as quickly as possible and extend some type of a lead, but it just doesn't seem to be working. And they do have the scaling, so they should try to look to slow down the pace. Meanwhile, Kuya Kim will start a little bit of a trade there, but it's not going to amount to anything. One Death Power Spike and Nolman being on the side. Nolman trying to continue this trade onto Sammy. Has the Vault Breaker, has the ulti to try to secure. Kuya Kim going in for this kill. And Sammy, 1 HP, will probably not be getting out of this. And as the Vault Breaker does get cancelled, and Sammy is the healing from Gorgiker is so huge, but will finally get picked up by Dahan, and another kill for this Jax is really huge for the side of Jimmy and friends, as they are starting to show signs of life and each inch their way back into this game. Another 800 gold shutdown for that Jax is extremely huge, one of the main scaling points of that Jimmy and friends team. Meanwhile, we do have a dragon coming up in 150. As of now, it seems like both junglers have not shown that much interest in the dragons this game, as they've just had more. There is just always more fighting, though. They have shown some interest in fighting, as Nolman does have to back off of Stanalicious just taking that Rift Herald in front of him. And this might be they will probably be looking to try to make some type of a play here. We do see Lion up in the top lane here, as they probably will look for an Rift Herald place before this 14-minute to try to cash in and extend their lead even further. Meanwhile, Stanalicious walking towards that mid lane. Killian is just trying to make sure that he can stall out. He is 1v2 here, so he has to play it a little carefully. Meanwhile, we do have Sammy coming down. Sammy trying to go on, but the Milio's disengage just simply bops him away, and there's just no way really to engage onto Emilio when he has that Q ability to cancel your dashes and just disengage your team. Meanwhile, Kuya Kim trying to make some type of a play, stealing the Amumu ulti, but there is just nothing there. The side of Live Wo-Chien reaction bows back off, and we do end up in a little bit of a more neutral state. Sammy is spotted there, so there probably will be no fighting soon, unless we do have this more dominating top matchup for the side of Jimmy and friends. Meanwhile, Sammy trying to go in. Fried Chicken has to burn Flash, burn Ghost. Sammy burns Flash. The ulti is not enough to kill, and Fried Chicken will just pick up that kill. Sammy is down again. Meanwhile, Sandrum is getting soloed right now by this Jax. The Jax is just so strong, and that's a 3rd kill pickup. And right now, Jimmy and friends is just right back into it. They're almost even again, as Lion tries to go in, but you don't have any damage. Where's your damage? Fried Chicken is walking up, but actually, they're just planning. They just have a different plan. They'll just kill the damage of the side of Jimmy and friends, because it's just only half HP. And that's just a quick pickup, and what seemed to be a pretty good play for the side of Live Wo-Chien actually turns around, and actually there. Kuya Kim almost dies to Killian right there. And the True Shot Barrage just barely not being enough damage as Killian will still pick up the tower. Meanwhile, Dahan is able to pick up the top tower, and these gold leads are starting to really extend, although it looks pretty even. A lot of the gold is distributed onto different players. We do see a lot of this lead on the side of Jimmy and Friends is involved with this Jax. Right now, Dahan is going to be a key point to look at to see if Jimmy and Friends are able to come back into this game. The Jax just being so strong at this point in the game and building towards that Bork, which will make it even more difficult for the Mordekaiser to be able to solo hold. Meanwhile, a second drag getting picked up for live Wo-Chien. We do see an Ocean Soul, which is even more healing for a team that has already so much healing and so much damage. So Ocean Soul will be a really good pickup for the side of live Wo-Chien. So there will probably have to be some type of a contest on this third, fourth drag by Jimmy and Friends. Maybe bringing in Dahan, bringing in that strong carry from the side lane. Meanwhile, as I say that, Sammy is getting caught out of it. Norman trying to make some type of a play, but actually, with the disengage of Lion, we just see Killian able to melt through Norman, and a second kill going over as Dahan tries to go in and just dies too. Fried Chicken also dying, and Sammy just being so hard to kill. Just the healing from Lion and the shields from Stan, and it's just way too much damage. And we see the question mark being from Sammy. Okay, but yeah, they are definitely getting a little bit aggressive here, as live Wo-Chien reaction just hard to win that skirmish right there. And just the skirmishing power of Riven just being showcased fully there. And again, it's just so difficult for the side of Jimmy and Friends to be able to make a play right now. Every time their Vi just seems to be can't really go in, and it just feels disconnected a lot. Meanwhile, again with the Vi trying to engage, it's just so difficult as they really don't have an easy way to follow up on the Vi. Sammy finally does fall, as we do have Dahan and Fried Chicken focus down the two carries of Jimmy and Friends, being able to work down that the Riven finally. But again, it's just so difficult for these fights to go the way of Jimmy and Friends. And Sandom finally gets his revenge, as he is able to send Dahan to the Death Realm and also send him back to Fountain with good Death Realm placement and the damage finally coming through. And that should just be a quick tower pickup for the side of live Wo-Chien reaction. Meanwhile, Lion actually trying to engage here. The ultimate comes down. Curse of the Sad Mummy does land onto 3, but they're under tower. You don't have follow-up. And now it's time for Jimmy and Friends to give chase. Fried Chicken walking in. Nomad going further. And that's Sandom down. Lion goes down. Killian and Stan are on the run. Stan will probably fall here, but he barely makes it out with the shield. And Killian actually gets a Q. He's actually looking for more. And the True Shot Barrage barely goes a bit wide. And Fried Chicken is able to get out with his life. Stanalicious looking for a little more. And actually Killian looking for more. Kuya Kim is able to flash in and get Stanalicious. And meanwhile, Killian is able to trade that kill back, but so many shutdowns finally going the way of Jimmy and Friends, and the game being at least slightly closer, if not at least remotely playable, even with such a brutal lead that is so hard to overcome from the side of live Wo-Chien reaction. But again, just credit where credit's due. Stanalicious always playing this Ivern super well in this past few series that we've seen, and just being able to play this really straightforward style. You know, when you play live Wo-Chien reaction, you know their hand, you know they're going to play for this Killian Sammy combo for carries, but it's just so difficult to really counter them when they have such strong champ pools and have such strong support around them, with Stanalicious always being able to play a lot of these more supportive junglers, and Lion being able to play a lot of these peel champs, and also Sandom just having a lot of this more flexible of a champion, being able to play what the team needs to be able to hold it down in this top lane and allow Sammy and Killian to extend their leads. On the side of Jimmy and friends, we have seen a lot of good stuff out of a lot of these players before. Fried Chicken is having a pretty good showing, as this is his first ADC game this year for this team this tournament. But again, we do see the Kog'Maw, one of Fried Chicken's comfort picks, doing really well in this first game, and potentially still keeping the Jimmy and friends also in this first game, as they are able to hold, although struggling, are able to still hold on to this game for now. Well, the third dragon does go down to the side of live Wo-Chien reaction. Another dragon, and now that's soul point. In 5 minutes, it will be on Jimmy and friends to try to contest a really powerful soul for the side of live Wo-Chien. Give me a second. Okay, there we go. It is fixed. And now, what's really interesting is that right now, as we enter this mid game, there doesn't seem to be that much attention towards the objective on the map, and as live watching reaction decide to just opt more for a funneling Sammy comp, as Stanalicious continues to hover and try to extend Sammy's lead by allowing him to be able to farm up these camps and develop leads. Meanwhile, Killian is starting to get caught, though a quick arcane shift will get him over the wall and back into safety, but Sandom does finally come to try to disengage. One Death Power Spike is able to cleanse himself out of the Death Realm, but as Kuya Kim tries to engage into their team, he will fall, and Snowman will fall to Sammy, trying to flash in for a little bit more. Fried Chicken does have the damage and is able to kite it out, but again, that is 2 for nothing for live Wo-Chien reaction, and they might look for more here. They do have a Herald in this top lane position, but they don't need the Herald, they're just looking for this Baron, and they will look to try to continue to extend their lead with this neutral objective incoming. And there shouldn't be, excuse me, there shouldn't be any contest on this Baron, and that should just be another uncontested objective for the side of live Wo-Chien reaction, as live Wo-Chien reaction continues to extend their lead into this game and further on into the game. And we might have a pause here. Yep, as Sammy does quickly disconnect. We will probably be back into the game pretty soon, considering the fact we did see the reconnect. So we will just wait. But still, so far, really well played game from the side of Live Wo-Chien reaction. Seeing just the carry potential of Sammy and Killian being on full display, especially through a lot of the facilitating that this team is able to provide. This funnel team is so linear but so straightforward, and their team is able to execute it perfectly. Meanwhile, on the side of Jimmy and friends, we do want to try to see a little more from maybe from the mid jungle maybe next game, as we do it. It is probably ideal that if they're going to play for a more confident uh, 3 lane approach, that they will have to try to make sure that this mid jungle is able to stay in a relatively comfortable area, especially in the earlier stages of the game. Meanwhile, we do see pauses continuing actually. We'll have to give it a moment. But alright, well, let's see. Let's look at, as of now, gold lead again, just the massive amounts of gold that we do see on the side of Sammy and Killian. Just those 2 carries getting funneled ridiculously well, and they're able to just create such huge leads through these players. They're hovering these players and being able to create such perfect conditions for these players to be able to play these games. Now, if I actually had a co-caster, this is the part where I would try to strike a conversation about something, I don't know, about this game, about, I don't know, out of the game. But I'm really out of stuff that I can really think of right now. The pause will probably be ending pretty soon. We do see that Sammy tried to reconnect there. But as we continue to wait, I guess we will just be waiting for a bit. And it seems that Sammy is continuing to have a bit of internet issues. But in the meantime, people, I don't know. Pretty much talked about most of these teams to a decent extent. But yeah. Oh, and we're back finally. All right. Well, we are back into the game. Jimmy and Friends is currently down a lot, but they do have to be able to play. They do have the potential of being able to play through the Jacks and the Kog'Maw here. We will have a quick lag spike delay. This always happens when there is a pause. I'm sorry, this is just a technical difficulty that we just will have to deal with. But now as the pause is resynced, the delay is resynced, we are back into the game, and Baron buff on the side of Live Wo-Chien reaction. Jimmy and Friends backs against the wall here a bit, but we'll see how much they are able to use their team's scaling to be able to potentially mount some type of a comeback in this game. Oh, and as we have a little bit of a lag spike, I guess today we're just not gonna have the end of this, but we do see a bit of a slower game here now, but Live Wo-Chien reaction does still have this Baron for 1 minute and 40 seconds. They might look to try to put some pressure now as they finally group their team and set their sights on this Nexus region of Jimmy and Friends. Jimmy and Friends will have to try to hold at a pretty big disadvantage right now, as of now. So it's going to be on the side of Jimmy and Friends to see how much this Jax and Kog'Maw are able to provide the value and counter this this massive double threat that currently has been developed on the side of Live Wo-Chien reaction. An interesting redemption by Stan Alicious, but no matter, we do see Sammy going back to respond to Dahan. Dahan does not have an empowered back. He doesn't have TP. It's going to be a little bit tricky for him to be actually able to leave unless Sammy allows him to. He will reset, and they might actually look for it. Sammy does not have TP. They will probably potentially look for this 5v4 here as Nolman goes in, and the team finally tries to engage. Kuyakim looking for Killian here, but oh no, but Sandrum also in the they have a double death realm there. Sandrum is able to pick up Nolman's, but Dahan is finally here. The 5v4 is in full swing, but Killian just has no fear. Goes in, gets the first kill, the second kill, the third kill, and he's just able to kill everyone. This champion is so strong when you give him items, and Killian is just showing so much confidence on this champion and playing him to almost perfection here, as this will probably be the first game of Jimmy and Friends versus Live Wo-Chien reaction. Live Wo-Chien reaction will probably go up one game, unless Kuyakim is able to hold this right now. Kuyakim has to find some way to potentially get onto Killian here and look for some type of a hold, but he's gonna probably have to back off. Nolman is probably going to die one more time, and that should just be game one of Jimmy and Friends versus live Wo-Chien reaction. Oh, a few more kills go over. More, and this is just farming now. And finally, there we go. Live Wo-Chien reaction does take game one of, and just a good game that we see from Killian and Sammy here, and live Wo-Chien reaction really being able to play through a lot of this carry potential. And again, also Killian, when you give this guy a lead, he will take over the game. And we definitely need to see some type of a better response from the side of Jimmy and friends, trying to combat a lot of this focus that the side of live Wo-Chien reaction likes to put on Killian and focus onto Killian. So we will be back after a short break. My throat is absolutely dead. Hopefully we do get a second caster, but we'll see. But otherwise, now as of now, we do have live Wo-Chien reaction up 1-0. We'll be right back to see if live Wo-Chien reaction continues their dominance in this series, or if Jimmy and Friends are able to even up the score in game 2 of Jimmy and Friends versus live Wo-Chien reaction. We'll be right back. And welcome back to game 2 of Jimmy and Friends versus Live Wo-Chien Reaction. We do have both of the teams are now getting ready to start the draft of our second game here. But as we wait for that, uh, things might happen. Oh, uh, all right. We're starting with the beginning of the draft here. Uh, as we can see right away, a sec. All right. So on the blue side, we do have live Wo-Chien reaction. On the red side, we have Jimmy and friends. Right away, Rel is finally enabled, and as Lion has always played Rel in the past, he must be excited. It is finally available, and it is actually pretty strong now. And now Rel, we do get to see. I'm pretty sure one of the first few Rels of this tournament. I mean, in the meantime, we do have the red side, we do have a Pike lock-in as a counter pick. That will probably be going to the support position of one, and one Def Power Spike will probably be taking that. And it seems like Jimmy and friends will be playing something a little more aggressive in this bot lane to try to force down the and put pressure onto Killian. And as I say that, we have a Draven Pike bot lane. And this is something that we want to see. Some pretty aggressive style from the side of Jimmy and friends. And now the pressure is on to see if Killian has some type of way to match this Draven Pike combo. In the meantime, we do have Samira will be the response from Killian. So Killian is going to try to fight fire with fire, and we have a really spicy bot lane coming up here. Meantime, we do see the Ivern finally getting taken away from Stanalicious. Uh, let's see. We might. Oh, hello. Oh my. Hello, hello. Alright. So finally I am also joined by half awake here. Or half awake BirdTurtle, whatever. You I'll just put both down. You can, or some of you guys know as Lily, but yes, ooh, that does not look right. Hold on, let me fix the give me a sec. Center. There we go. Alrighty. Uh, in the meantime, let's see how this draft has continued. We do have the Ken pickup on the side of Jimmy and friends. This is interesting. I don't think Dahan has been known to be a Ken player in the past. So this is probably going to be a first time, or one of the first few times we've seen Dahan's Kennen in any of these matches before. And we have some new draft adaptations from the side of what's it called? Of Jimmy and Friends here. Just to note, hold on, I'm getting a question, and I guess I will, um, just to answer a question that I was just asked. Dustblade is currently patched already. However, I'm pretty sure Dustblade is still the go-to build for Samira, just because of how strong the interaction of becoming untargetable is. For blue side is live Wo-Chien reaction. Red side is Jimmy and friends. And we finally get to see Lion, Rel, Killian, Samira. In the meantime, we do have also a pretty aggressive bot lane also coming out from Jimmy and friends, and that will be the end of the drafting phase. And boy, we have a banger for this second match. That is likely going to be I'm going to say that's probably a Kennen mid actually, and that might be getting played by Kuya Kim, unless it could also be a Mordekaiser mid, since that also does decently into Yas. But we will see. In the meantime, Rel support will be going into the support position. We do have an interesting pickup on the Lilia, which is a little weird since they've played generally to be able to help support this bot mid combo of live Wo-Chien reaction. However, Lilia does does a pretty good job of being able to set up good skirmishes, and also the Ivan was banned, so uh hold on, let me fix something. I'm pretty sure I couldn't the Discord wasn't working earlier. Whoops.
Oh, it's all right.
Okay, now they can hear you. Let's go. I fixed it.
Oh,
But
okay.
yes,
Well,
hello. I'm
hello.
joined by BirdTurtle, half awake, Lily, whatever you you know her by.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right.
All
I hope
right.
that should mean my throat will not die for the second game. Uh, but as we continue to say, what do you think about this draft here?
As you said, it's looking like a really spicy draft on both sides. There's a lot of snowball potential in the bottom lane. I would say maybe slightly more in favor of Draven Pike with all like the direct ways of income they have in terms of cashing out of kills. I think like ganking bot is going to be very high yield. I'm not too sure if uh and and in terms of like the 3v3 matchup, it'll be really exciting to see how it plays out and anything that might happen. However, that being said, Samira Rel is really strong, and then you have the Yasuo Wombo combo, which is just absolutely insane if pulled off correctly. So I'm really excited to hopefully see that in action later on in the game.
And in the meantime, we do have uh the cannon is also confirmed to be in the mid lane position now. So we will be seeing Kuya Kim on the cannon here. So definitely also a really interesting matchup in this mid lane. A lot of skirmishing power between these jungle mid duels, and we'll have a pretty interesting game on our hands. In the meantime, we'll send it off to a short break, but stay tuned. We will be probably having a pretty exciting second game between Jimmy and Friends and Live Wo-Chien Reaction. We'll be right back. And I think we are back. Maybe, maybe
Sorry
not.
guys, technical difficulties.
Oh, we
Oh
are not.
no.
Well, hold on, give us a second.
Oh
Oh, we
no.
are not back yet. Oh, no.
Uh,
This is wow. Technical
okay.
difficulties for days. And we're back. Also, the game's already started, but we can't rewind because riot. So
Riot
we'll
is
be
the spelling
starting
bee
here.
company.
Anyways, stealth wars are pretty cool, but this game is also kind of better. So, what? Let's see what we have here as of now. We do have bit of just a little bit of trading from all the lanes. We do have the junglers pathing in opposite directions here. Noman trying to put more
Rel
pressure on
has
this
it
bot
level
side.
2.
Ooh,
Oh, that's some good poke damage, but Draven tanks a tower shot.
and what do you think about just what the overall like matchups of this game so far? And what do you think
Um,
should what do you expect to or what do you want to see from both sides?
I think a few things to note are, oh, trade going down in the bottom lane. Nothing too much happening. Pyke's just gonna heal that back up. I guess top lane is both take and teleport, but I think in the mid lane, we see a cannon with teleport, whereas Yasuo has opted for the combat spell. Might be looking to play a little more aggressive. Maybe, I don't know how the matchup goes actually, but I think it'll be interesting to see Kennen going for like the teleport plays, maybe the roams later on in the game, because this bot lane is so, what's the word? Oh my goodness. Uh,
Volatile.
right, exactly. This
Banger.
bot lane's so volatile. Um, so whoever really gets the advantage really has the potential to
Meanwhile,
snowball here.
one death power spike and Noment might be looking for something mid. Noment and Stan are going to have some type of an interaction here. They make contact, but
See one dead power spike roaming up.
I think both teams are just gonna back off of that.
Yeah, something that I find really interesting is Samir's opted to go for the barrier here. against the
Oh,
Draven
well, that
fight.
is just the
Oh,
first blood for
uh,
Phantom. Wow, Phantom being able to get such a huge lead out of nowhere, basically.
the solo kill.
And just such a strong showing there. The Mordekaiser not being able to peel himself out, and just those brittle stacks going huge. I didn't think I had to mention that because I thought it was just going to be a short trade, but looks like Phantom really just took it all the way.
Yeah, I mean, well played.
And what's interesting is Phantom is actually a, I will mention, is a roster shift. After Live Wo-Chien did win their first game, it seems that their previous player, I forgot the name of already because yeah, I have great immaculate memory, but has that they have gotten a sub in for now. Phantom will be playing for potentially the rest of the series, but we will see how their team plans it out. But in the meantime, already having a great showing right away with this initial orange trading with against the Han.
Bot lane consistently pushing in here. There's a small CS lead, about 10 or so. Most of it's gonna get shored up here as Samir picks up the wave that's crashing in. Yeah, so around 5 creep lead to the Draven. Gets to push the lane in, picks up a first
Oh,
plate, feels pretty good
meanwhile,
about it.
I'm trying to take a little bit of a small trade there. Just the new stun Q being so good at being able to create more stun angles that Rel previously was struggling or having to risk her life to create. Meanwhile, more trading in the bot lane here. Lion going all the way in, and finally we
Jarvan comes
see
in for the
Killian
counter
trying
gank.
to go all the way in. But Noman is here, guys. You have to be careful of this lane gank potential of this Draven. Dahan will get his kill back, and that's a cash out for this Draven. First kill in this bot lane goes over to the side of Fried Chicken, and that Draven cashes out early.
Will they overstay? Oh.
Oh, Lion looking for a bit more. One diff power spike actually sending Lion under the tower. That's gonna have to be a flash. Kuya Kim on the side with the flank. Has flash, has ulti. You have to watch out for this. Sammy does have a lot also for himself. Kuya Kim flash ults to try to find something, but there is no connect. Meanwhile, there will be a re-engage from the side of Noman. Noman trying to look for more, but he's just going to get ignited and burned down. The hook from one diff power spike does get windwalled, and that's just gonna be a 1-for-1 in the end. Things look so good for the side of Jimmy and friends, but then all of a sudden it just flipped a little bit when Sammy was able to finally be able to hold off a lot of this aggression that they've been showing in the spotlight here. Meanwhile, though, Killian a little bit in trouble here. One to power spike will hold the hook. The wind wall is early, and that will be a stun. And another kill. Kuya Kim picking up this one, and Sammy backs off, and just a bloodbath in the bot lane here.
Yeah, and coming off of that, the Samir, however, notably put quite behind. Now has died 2 times in the bottom lane, while Draven was able to cash in on his stacks. Could mean something significant for the bottom lane matchup going forward. And I think also, considering that counter gank with Jarvan, when Samir and Rel decided to commit to the bot lane skirmish, I'm really questioning the use of barrier here as the Samir summoner spell. Quick trade going down the top lane. Yeah, if she had brought something like cleanse, for the inevitable Pike ignite, for the Pike stun even potentially, I think that could have gotten her a lot more out of those fights, maybe even a kill.
And another thing to mention though is I know Trinity is a good item right now. It's a pretty strong item in a lot of champions, but Trinity on Draven, what do you think about that?
I'm gonna be honest, I have no clue, but I haven't seen it so far. It could be new, it could be new meta. I think it's I mean, I think if he's snowballing, it's not the worst, I suppose. But same could be said about most items.
Meanwhile,
So
on this top
it'll be
side, we have
interesting to see where he takes that build.
Phantom using his ulti a little bit early. He still wants to trade with Dahan. Dahan looking for more here. Phantom is able to unstoppable, but Dahan continuing to walk into this Ornn. we do see Stanalicious finally shows up, but Dahan is starting to gets that Death Realm off, and he tries to look for more. Stanalicious trying to get this kill, but you're just not able to get in that the cage from Nolment doing so much work, but the burn of Lilia does come through, and a second kill, and out of nowhere, what looked so good for Jimmy and friends also flips, and now we just see, on the side whoa, oh, Whirling Death, watch out, we'll see, hold your breath, okay, and does not trade back, however, still an attempt onto this top lane does backfire, and live Wo-Chien reaction finally getting the upper hand here, and this Lilia being able to pull up another huge kill for their team.
Yeah, it's definitely a disastrous outcome for Jimmy and friends in terms of the top side of the map. The good news, however, is that the bottom lane is ahead. We see Pike looking for a hook, goes
Lion and
wide.
Grotto is looking for something more, isn't able to find it. Remember, this Draven is just so strong right now, and he's about to become even stronger if he is able to back here, as he will be picking up that Trinity Force, and we'll be able to see how good this item really is on a champion like Draven.
There's a good call here being made by Live Wo-Chien reaction. They knew Draven backed. Lilia's in the area, Yasuo's roam down. So they're just gonna start up the dragon, and it looks like this is gonna be pretty free.
Meantime, we do have an interesting take here. Does this really go uncontested? We'll see. It does not look like Stanalicious has any intent to look for it. That should just be a trade of objectives. Meanwhile, Lion of Grotto looking for some type of potential play here. They do have Stanalicious on the side. One Def Power Spike gets a hook that does work, a bit of work, but it does not seem to be enough. Dahan does not have the Death Realm. Yeah, it comes up in a few seconds. The Flagon Drag gets cancelled somehow. I've never seen that interaction before, but I guess the wall distance was a bit too big.
Yeah, that definitely looked a little strange. Not too sure what happened there either.
Oh. Dahan trying to look for a trade here. Tries to send Phantom's Xerox into the Death Realm, but it's just not enough damage. The Hornet is just too tanky.
He does manage to deal enough to basically force Orin off the tower though, and considering that Lilia's in the bottom side, he might be able to pick up a good reset, get the wave crash in.
And again, Sammy's Wi-Fi might be going down for the second game in a row. And if that is the case, we might be about to see a pause very soon. Now, I don't want to be a downer and say that we do have a pause coming up, but in the meantime, we'll just continue with the cast. We do see Fried Chicken trying to walk up into Killian here, and oh, looks like Sammy is back already, so actually we might be fine. There might not be a pause here. Meanwhile, one Def Power Spike looking for Killian. The flash comes through. Killian tries to flash it, but actually the flash is predicted.
Oh,
One
Death
Power
goes
Spike
wide.
does get the stun, but we'll see how this continues. Stanalicious gets hooked up. We do see one Def Power Spike will die to Sammy, but Fried Chicken is just so strong right now. He will not go down yet, and Sammy actually is the one that goes down, and Fried Chicken just so hard to kill with this Trinity Force being so tanky and mobile at the same time. That's just what Trinity does on those ADC type champions. And now for some I mean, I guess this is just allowed, but now all of a sudden we do just see Draven up even more, and 3 kills onto this cannon and 2 kills on this Draven, and this is just starting to come out of control.
I'm noticing Static Shift being the first completed item for Kennen here. Is that what he has been building?
All I know is I've heard that almost every mage has been building Static Shift right now. Riot has done a service to this game, and
Yeah,
I don't think it's a good one.
It's incredible.
They have done something.
Yeah, the wave clear is insane. It's cheap. It has a great build path. The AP scaling is really strong.
And mages can build it for some reason. Meanwhile, Lightning Dragon trying to look for some type of flank. Okuyakim, the trade, the static shift, and the electrocute just out of nowhere, chucking Emmy down to half HP just through a
Huge
simple
trade.
Q auto and W combo. But yeah, that's just the power of this Kennen pick right now, and just the power of static shiv on this current patch. So strong in the current meta. And oh my goodness. Just even more trading coming through. Just really trying to abuse the Yas right now with this static shiv poke.
Little skirmish going down in the top side jungle. See Mordekaiser moving down.
Stanalicious in a
This
little bit of
could be a 3v2.
trouble. The is caged, has to flash out. Phantom will not get to be able to use his ulti. Dahan sends him into the death realm, and Kuya Kim is just camping outside. I'm sorry, I don't think there's a good way for this Orin to get out. He is going to try to flash over. He does flash over. He's going to get followed by Dahan. Stanalicious is there to try to peel him, but Dahan is walking down one. And he might look for two. Fried Chicken, meanwhile, will continue. Orin dies in the top lane. Fried Chicken finds the tower, and that's two Pike ults, two executes, two cuts for Draven, and this game is going completely out of control, and this time in the favor of Jimmy and friends.
Yeah, that's just something to note, that one death power spike is on his most comfort champion. Very well played in terms of the positioning of the E to prevent the Samira Rel engage and to counter engage and result in a kill. Sorry, 2 kills actually for the side of Jimmy and France.
And the response from Jimmy and friends finally being able to recognize the power of a lot of live Wo-Chien reaction, although really powerful, it's pretty linear, and now they are trying to respond to this aggression that they and the focus that they put on the Sammy Killian double carry. And it's starting to bear them some rewards as they are starting to look for these more aggressive champions like Draven Pike in the bot lane. We have Jarvan and Kennen to be able to play a more aggressive mid jungle. And now they are starting to really speed up this game in favor of the side of Jimmy and friends.
Hextech Dragon going to be started up by the side of Jimmy and friends. Easy pickup.
Ooh, Stanalicious looking for something. Drowsy, but he's popped open. Dahan does have the Death Realm coming up in a few seconds. He will send Phantom Xerox into the Death Realm, and now this is causing I don't think that's going to be able to create yeah, they just can't. They don't have the damage to kill this Mordekaiser. He's just so strong, and that's a second execute for the Pike. One death power spike looking for a bit more. This Lilia is just going to be able to walk out, but again, just the power, the tankiness of this Mord, and also even more resets for this Pike. And this game is starting to become really, really out of hand fast for the side of Jimmy and friends.
Yeah, mid lane does go down. Mid lane tower for the side of on the side of Jimmy and friends, putting a little bit of objective gold back into the pockets of live Wo-Chien reaction, but they are 6k gold down at 18 minutes into the game. And they don't really have control over most areas of the map. This Draven and roaming Pike are just so scary right now. Mordekaiser's been, Dahan's been a target up in the top lane for a lot of jungle ganks, but he's getting to the point where he's quite tanky, and he's also able to use his ultimate to stall for his teammates to come in time.
Another thing to mention is just looking at the amount of gold that Pike and Cash Outs just truly generates. Look at the gold lead on this Draven. 2 kills, but still up even beyond those 2 kills amounts of gold. And it's just skyrocketing this Draven into a ridiculous amount of a lead. This Draven
Yeah,
just so strong on 2 items.
You can see from the gold graph, sorry, from the gold comparison, that pretty much all of, or around 80% of, I would say, of Jimmy and Friends' gold lead is actually just in the pockets of this Draven and Pike bottom lane.
Killian, you gotta watch out! Fried Chicken is here, and he will again have to use the W a bit too early. Anticipates the hook, but One Def Power Spike just so keen to hold that hook down to the end, and is able to again another hook on Killian and another Def onto this Samira.
Nolman's going to summon the Rift Herald, try and break open that mid tower. But immediately we see live Wo-Chien reaction, responding with an Orin ultimate.
And it looks like One Def Power Spike is a little bit caught out. He will get followed by Stan Alicious. Oh, the flash is a little bit off, but Stan Alicious, he's still able to just walk it off because Fried Chicken is just so strong. They just don't want to mess with him.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way that any of them can fight the Draven right now. It's a pretty difficult position for live Wo-Chien reaction to be in. Given how they're basically playing 5 extremely short range champs, it's very scary for any of them to try and walk in range of that Draven.
You gotta give a lot of props to this bot lane of Jimmy and friends, and along with Kuyakim having such a tough game for the first game of the series, but showing so much better results in the second game, having so much impact along with this Pike. Am I seeing that correctly? That is an even shroud on the Pike, as we do see a more defensive build coming out, just trying to more set up a lot of these kills for the side of Jimmy and friends.
Yeah, and honestly, I like the adaptation here. Even Shroud's a great item. It gives them a bit more utility, a bit more tankiness in terms of resistances. And he has opted into the Glacial Augment this game, which is another more utility-oriented rune as opposed to maybe going for something like the Hail of Blades. So I think that this is a good first item for him to kind of spec more into that utility department.
Meanwhile, Dahan in a bit of trouble, but then he's just able to walk it off. So he's just so tanky right now. It becomes so difficult to fight. Meanwhile, another tower does fall in this mid lane, and again, just the continuation of this lead extension for the side of Jimmy and friends.
Their Drake's gonna go over to the side of Jimmy and Friends as well, with little contest. And now they're gonna be looking towards occupying the top side of the map, clearing out Baron Vision. Really getting to a point where they can threaten the Baron and potentially open up the base.
And in the meantime, oh, Sammy trying to find some type of an engage onto Fried Chicken. The ulti is good, but it's just not enough. He is able to actually die. They are able to get the kill. That is a huge shutdown, but they are going to have to trade 2 of their lives for it.
Yeah, a little bit of an overextension by Draven. They're not respecting the asshole onto the wave. Although, to be fair, it was quite close. He had a lot of teammates with him, and he honestly just as well could have survived. That just goes to show how strong Jimmy and Friends are at this point in the game. They just deal so much damage.
And even with that shutdown going the way of the side of Wo-Chien Reaction, you have to remember that 2 members of their team did die, along with the fact that they do have pikes. So even when you just try to trade it, those bounties are not as valuable when your teammates are getting traded for pike executes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely still Jimmy and Friends coming out on top in spite of the bounty trade. And just the differential in this bot lane. Samira is just so behind at this point in the game. She's the entire item down on the Draven.
But she has
It's going to
Orin
be,
item.
That's true. That's
Let's
true. She did get
go.
her Auron upgrade. She did get her Auron upgrade. That's very exciting. The SISG. That's what it's called.
Is that's the Eclipse one? This one's called.
No, that's the Eclipse one. Oh wait,
This
this
one's
is
Doctor's
Duck
Shadow Carver.
Drak Drakthar Shadow Carver.
I'm just gonna call
That's
that
right.
Shadow
That's
Carver.
right.
In the meantime, one Def Power Spike getting a little bit caught out there, but your Pike, you really are never getting caught out, as he is just able to just use his Phantom Undertow to get himself out of there. Meanwhile, we do see the setup of Jimmy and friends trying to create this vision necessary to be able to generate this lead. Oh, in the meantime, a lag spike at the worst time, but one Def Power Spike does go down. Sammy is able to use the flash to be able to chase down the Pike, and finally one Def Power Spike does get punished for a bit of over-aggressive warding.
And now there's a potential for a live Wo-Chien reaction to occupy a little bit of space, more space in the mid lane. Oh, they have to watch out for the flank though.
Moment going in, the flash and the cage on Killian. Killian is finding it hard to get back in, and when he goes back in,
Huge
there's just
3-minute
Kuya
ultimate.
Kim. Kuya Kim's just slicing maelstroms through the whole enemy team, and that's both of the carries down. Killian is down, Sammy is down. Now it's just about picking up the rest of the pieces. The Auron falls along with him, and it is just left to Stanalicious to try to potentially hold this game. The Baron is on the menu, and it looks like Jimmy and friends are in the driver's seat as they go 4-0 in that whole team fight.
Yeah, and you know, live Wo-Chien reaction, they recognize that they killed the support, but they extend a little bit too far off the mid lane, not respecting the flank angles. You see the Jarvan, you see the Kennen, and just the angles that they're able to come at the fight from. It's just so good to pull off the Jarvan cage with the Kennen ultimate. Makes for a very easily executed and strong team fight.
And right now, it feels like Live Watch and Reaction here, a little bit of their, feels like backs against the wall here a bit. They really need to try to find some type of a wombo combo here with this Yas Samira in order to come back. But otherwise, just so far a really solid game from the side of Jimmy and friends, and we'll see how this game continues. Meantime, what do you think is the best way for Jimmy and friends to potentially look to close this game out?
I think honestly they do so much damage. They've got Baron. I think they're definitely stronger when together, and there's not really so much of a necessity for them to split. I think they're plenty scary playing for picks with the Draven and with the immense wombo combo that the Jarvan, Kennen, and Draven damage affords. I don't think that Live Wo-Chien reaction, they're so far behind at this point that they can't really afford to fight him.
In the meantime, Dahan starting to engage onto Sammy. That Death Realm is so potent as Sammy will go down in the Death Realm completely. Stanalicious trying to make some type of a play, but he's caged. He's stuck in between the whole team. And now they get cleaned out too. A 1v1 in the back line. Fried Chicken versus Killian. Fried Chicken barely comes out on top, but that's 5-0, and that should just be the game. Jimmy and friends tie up the series 1-1 in this second game.
Yeah, no, it's just all blown apart in an instant. Jimmy and friends, you know, their well-earned lead, they're still ahead at this point, that they just kind of brute force it with the Mordekaiser ultimate and catch Live Wo-Chien reaction split.
And that will be the second game of Jimmy and Friends Chin Reaction. And I mean, just a really solid performance we saw from almost the whole team of Jimmy and Friends, really bouncing back from a rough first game. And we'll see what the adaptation is from live watching reaction to a much more aggressive draft this time from the side of Jimmy and Friends.
Yep, absolutely. Well played to the side of Jimmy and friends, really capitalizing on their early snowball, that early roaming, the counter ganking, punishing the Samira, and Rel going aggressive without a knowledge of the jungler position. Just well done all around.
In the meantime, we will go into a short break, but the series is now tied up 1-1. It's going to be where, and otherwise, yeah, that is it. We'll see, take a short break, and we'll be back for Game 3 of Jimmy and Friends versus Live Wo-Chien Reaction.
Yes.
All right, welcome back to game 3 of Jimmy and Friends versus live Wo-Chien reaction. It looks like the draft's already started, but we have another person helping us out. Some of you guys, especially if you've been around at Rutgers or Are You Low a bit longer, you will know him. We have Josh. Hello, hello.
I guess. Here to
And
join the cast. Yeah, I'll be supplementing Lily here. Not too sure if we can hear her now, but the draft did start. And I did like the adaptation that Jimmy and Friends had for game 2 to try and challenge the bot lane of Live Wo-Chien reaction. So they ended up picking the Draven, they contested Killian and Leona Grotto, as well as ganking, sending an early gank, early J4 gank in for game 2, in order to get the 2v2 pressure that they needed to just snowball the game in their direction. So now we see that they are picking up the same picks as they won with in game 2. They first picked the Draven, and then we have live Wo-Chien reaction picking up Sejuani, and Killian does not seem that game was a Samira problem, as he opts to go for the Samira once again. Instead, they also choose not to go for the Pike for on the side of Jimmy and Fred's, and pick the Braum a little more like defensive, more consistent support pick. And then we see that Jimmy and Friends is again going for the Jarvan, which was instrumental into them getting into this game 3.
All right, I guess I'll help you. I'll stick around for this draft. Definitely an interesting adaptation. They do opt instead of the Rel to have this Taric pickup so that they are able to give a bit more defensive utility for the Samira. And it seems like they're definitely doubling down onto the fact that they want Killian on the Samira pick and to be able to use that to be able to put pressure onto Fried Chicken's Draven.
We see the second round of bans coming in. The pretty similar bans to this previous game. And rapid fire picks as we get Ornn locked in on live Wo-Chien reaction. They're stealing away. Jimmy and Friends is stealing away the Mordekaiser. And we're going to have the mid laner blind pick LeBlanc. Just because Sammy did opt to go for the Yasuo, and there was a cannon with a static shiv in game number 2.
What's really interesting to also look at here is the fact that the Mordekaiser pickup here not only is the exact same matchup that we did see from Jimmy and Friends to counter the Orin last game, but also the fact that Mordekaiser is able to restrict the amount of utility that Tarek is able to provide and is able to either take away the link, the character he has linked, or take away Tarek from this fight and reduce the value of his linking mechanic. Along with that, we do see Malzahar getting picked up here, just straight up trying to reduce the amount of counterplay that a lot of this Draven and LeBlanc do rely on in creating good and solid fights. And this comp is starting to look really focused on helping and supporting Killian's position here.
I'm actually really curious to see if Malzahar is going to end up going for a static shiv rush just to amplify the wave clear and try to keep Sammy in lane. Or, not sorry, it's not Sammy, but...
It is Sammy. Sammy is mid lane now. Oh,
Or no, sorry, Sammy is the one running the Malzahar. Seeing
yeah.
if he's going to be the one that's going for the static shiv and try to make sure that Kuya Kim is not able to roam around and set up probably the bot lane again for success.
And as it seems, another thing to mention is also that with even with the pike available this time, they do opt in to the fact that they will take the Braum instead, as they don't think that pike will provide as much utility with as beefy champions like the Orin with the Sejuani. And this time they definitely adapt to more of a front to back than the previous dive comp that they had set up in the past.
Yeah, I think the reasoning for that is that Pike was kind of a surprise factor that Jimmy and Friends had going into game 2. And now that that pick is known, they're anticipating live Wo-Chien reaction to better prepare for that. Both sides are going for more definitely brawly 2v2, and Tarek and Braum are definitely for the more extended fights, while Rel and Pike are more for the short burst trades. With the trades being like, oh, you lost 90% of your HP, oh, you're probably dead anyway.
Hello, I'm back.
Alright, welcome back. We have Lily once again here for our game 3. She's coming back in for the draft just being about finished. If you were to take a look at this draft, Lily, what do you think about the bottom half of the map?
Red side is live Wo-Chien reaction, right?
Yes.
Okay. I really like the Tarek adaptation with the Samir here. I think it offers a lot more flexibility in terms of how they want to play out their fights and their 2v2. I think that in terms of priority, I think Draven Braum should still be pretty strong. Braum's he's like a pretty neutralizing support against a lot of other tank supports. And obviously, was the Pike banned? Oh, they just opted not to pick the Pike. I
Yep.
see. Um, but yeah, I think I like the flexibility of the Tarek a lot better. Scales a little bit better as well, and yeah, super versatile with just enabling like Samira to like kind of go in, does what she wants. I am wondering if Samira will opt for something more like the cleanse this game. Um, I wasn't sure about the barrier choice last game, and although she would only have like potential summoners and Braum passive to cleanse, I still think it's a strong pick if not for something like the heal summoner spell.
Yeah, it didn't seem that they had the answers with the with essentially the draft that they had for game 2, going into the Draven Pike. It's a really aggressive lane that they had when they had Samir Rel. Rel would go in, and if they didn't get the kill, then they were sort of out of luck. With the Tarek pick, they're hoping to extend the fights a bit more and probably perhaps give Killian multiple opportunities that he can choose from, as opposed to just going in after just one engage off of Rel.
Yeah, for sure. There's also um, a lot more reliable CC and taking frontline on the side of live Wo-Chien reaction in general. They're really looking to kind of like enable this Samira in fights, but it does mean that they are quite a bit lacking in damage. Malzahar, while he can do some DPS, he's not known for being an insane damage hyper carry in fights. Um, and Jimmy and friends do have a pretty beefy front line as well themselves. So the real concern here for me is they have amazing frontline and CC and enabling and just lockdown for this Samira, but it's really going to be on their two carries to deal out the damage.
Yeah, it seems that Live Watch and Reaction is going to be looking for the Samira resets. Uh, Also, the fact that they are such a short range comp means that Killian's got to look for pretty great angles to try to fight into a Draven, a LeBlanc, and a Mordekaiser who can all just interrupt or, try to pick off Samira in
Yeah,
any case.
that's definitely another good point. Their low range draft was also something that we saw last game, and they really struggled when they got to a point where they were basically just unable to like walk into Draven auto attack range whatsoever. I think it'll be a bit easier given the tankiness in this comp, but that's still definitely something to take note of.
Okay. So we're going to take a short break while the game loads in. We'll see you guys soon. All right, we're back with our really short break. It's over, and we're looking to see what's going to happen during Game 3 of Jimmy and Friends versus Live Chen Reaction. We're seeing a spread. I'm not too sure if anything happened during the level 1 of Game 2 or 1. If
Yeah, we
maybe
weren't able
Lily
to
could
see
fill me in.
because of the spectator, unfortunately. We started about 2 minutes into the game.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I don't anticipate anything to happen early, just because while Jimmy and Friends does have a Braum, they're not posturing as like a group of 5, so it should be relatively quiet.
Do you notice that Samira has again opted for the barrier in this matchup, meaning that the exhaust from the Braum is going to get full value?
Yep, we'll have to wait and see how that goes in, as Kuya, Kim, and Sammy are looking just to trade some autos and maybe pad their stats a bit. We see Killian and Leon of Grotto walk up, but they shouldn't be able to find too much. As everyone takes their backs, and they get ready to leash. One of the things that I'm looking out for in this game is how Stanalicious is going to path for the initial first set of camps. We did see Nolment path towards bot for his first gank and was heavily rewarded for that. We're curious to see if they're going to try to do something similar now that they know that Killian and Leon Grotto are aware that that is an option that they're willing to take.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that both junglers are opting to start bottom side, but we can already see Jarvan maybe looking for something level 2 here. He's just
Yep.
gonna camp out in the river bush. I don't think they see him.
Fool me once, shame on me, I guess. As a stun does land from Braum, and is forcing a flash out of Leon and Grotto, and Death Power Spike is trying to look for the Winter's Bite, but instead gets a flash of his own to use. So not a kill. Yeah, so not a kill from...
Not a kill.
You can go.
Okay, yeah, not a kill coming down from the bot lane, but actually a trade of flash because of a little bit of an overextension on the side of the Braum here. We see Stanlicious. He's not pushing in the mid lane.
Covering for a gank. And Kuya Kim did go on to Sammy to try to chunk him, and Nolment with a huge flash EQ combo to get the first blood onto Sammy. Camera pans away, so I assume that there's no reaction. But a good bait and switch from Nolment Kuya Kim to bait in Sammy to walk in a little bit closer so they can get first blood.
Yeah, and once again, top lane, we're seeing this matchup between Mordekaiser and Ornn, once again, played by the same players. As with last game, Mordekaiser's taking a little bit rough in terms of the laning phase, often coming out on the ends of these trades a little worse for wear. Same in the mid lane actually for the side of Jimmy and Friends. This Malzahar with the Aerie just trading so strongly into the LeBlanc.
Yeah, so while LeBlanc versus Malzahar is not exactly a great dueling matchup for LeBlanc, we see pretty early that Sammy is getting the push, and it's going to enable him to walk around and maybe play some wards so that way he doesn't die to another gank. Kuya Kim's going to take it back, and we see some more trading towards the top side. Not too sure what happened during the... Oh, that was really close to a kill. As we see that Nolman's going to get an EQ and is going to get Xerox's flash. At the same time, we have Sandalish's path towards bot, and we recall that Braum does not have flash, but they're not quite able to land the CC, and Fried Chicken 219 is going to be able to trade some autos back. And everyone is going to be walking away. We see that Kuya Kim has to invest the teleport to try to match the wave clear, or to match the push that Sammy's giving on to him. And we do see that he does pick up the, was it Kirshi Shard? So it does seem that he's going to go for the Static Shiv. Sammy does not seem to be going for it, I believe, as he's looks to be building components for last chapter. And that's it for now.
Both sides pretty even in gold, with the only differential really going over to the first blood for the side of Jimmy and Friends. So
Yeah,
far,
so
all the
it's,
matchups looking pretty even.
yeah, it seems the adaptation was to have the jungles meet at level 2 and try to, but Jimmy and Friends is doubling down and trying to force Killian off the wave. Noman's gonna go for an EQ, but he's not gonna really find too much. But they are trying to have the goal of zoning Killian from the wave. Maybe try to set up a freeze. At the same
Yeah.
time, we have the cross map top, and Stanilish is going to try to maybe clear some camps.
Yep, good adaptation, recognizing that the Jarvan showed bot side. He's up there. He can get there first. Take some extra EXP and gold for himself. He does have to be careful though, as Dahan is roaming down and will find him.
On at level 6 before Phantom Xerox is gonna go roam down,
He could be in real trouble here.
get him into the ultimate, and it seems that he gets out, but no, Dahan's gonna follow his flash, and just maybe, not able to get away, and Stanilish is, or Dahan is rewarded for roaming down.
Oh, they could be looking for something more here. Jarvan EQ's in, the Ornal coming out. Will he be able to trade back a kill? No. And that's another kill going over towards the top side, this time to Nomant.
Yeah, so as we're seeing some more trading towards bot, they're not 6s yet, so I don't expect any kills to go through. But they are prepping for it, it seems. But now we're seeing that the adaptation from Live Wo-Chien reaction from like minute 3 was to have the jungle assist for the gank. That way no kills were given over. And now we're going to see Jimmy and friends try to put pressure towards top side, knowing that they couldn't quite get what they were looking for towards bot side.
Yeah, I think this is working out for them. As another trade comes down the bottom lane.
Yeah, we see that the Infernal Dragon is up, and Stanilicious is in the area. He does have ultimates. He might look to go through the lane.
Yeah, this is dangerous territory for the bot lane of Jimmy and Friends. If
He
they're
needs that
overextended
minion
here,
to go
Jarvan
away. He should be
not
able to walk
quite
in
here.
now. Yeah, Noman is a little bit behind because he did decide to path for that gank towards top. Stanilicious does sneak into the alcove, and I expect
Worth
Noman to
noting
actually match
that
this gank after he gets his red. We do see that the bot lane for Jimmy and Friends is level 6, so maybe that should delay this engage. But that does give them the false confidence to maybe go in. But some good kiting from Fried Chicken 219 to buy time for Noma to Cataclysm into the fight. And as they try to focus down the Sejuani, not quite enough damage.
yeah, the
And
damage isn't quite enough on both sides. Oh, Noman aggressively EQs in. This could be the resets for Samira. Oh, but she's stunned by the Braum passive. Fried Chicken just barely making it out alive as Kuya Kim roams down. Ethereal Chains connects onto the Sejuani. That's a double kill. Very well roamed by Kuya Kim, making it down just in the nick of time. Sammy, however, will be pushing down a plate in the mid lane. Meanwhile, Dahan is taking down a plate in the top lane. Overall, definitely a net advantage coming out of these skirmishes.
we saw
For
Kuyakim get the
Jimmy and
push
Friends.
in onto Sammy. He was able to roam down. Sammy decided to punish the roam for maybe taking one plate, so about an even trade gold-wise there. As Kuyakim goes back up, he is losing all his HP to the Malzahar raids, and has to go take a reset. Really well played out. That really well played fight out from both sides on the bot side of the map. But it does leave Jimmy and friends with pressure, or with tempo from the Braum to roam up and try to get this kill onto Sammy. Easy stun for a moment to come and collect.
A little bit of a trade going down the top side. Tom gets the ultimate,
Some
Nashor gets the ultimate. They should just be able to both walk away with this one. Phantom's Xerath coming out slightly worse for wear.
I don't know, adjust my audio. Second. 2 plus. Yeah, so ultimately just a random, not really a random, but Phantom Xerox is feeling the pressure from the Mordekaiser pick and is forced to use his ultimate. Jimmy and Friend's bot lane is going in for this fight, but there is a teleport from Sammy
They're
as
mutually
he...
overextended here. And it's
And
5 men on the side of live Wo-Chien reaction in the bottom lane, punishing that extension by Draven and Braum, wanting to go aggressive.
yeah, so Fried Chicken 219 and One Death Power Spec were looking to go for a fight, but they did not. But they forgot to sweep their bushes before they were going to do so. And Koyukim having to take a reset earlier means that he was not able to roam and assist with this bot lane fight. And Killian and Lion of Grotto were able to get the fight that they were looking for with teammates on their end, and are rewarded for 2 kills bot as well as the Infernal Dragon.
Yep, BirdTurtle does get traded over on the side of, for the side of Jimmy and Friends, however, as Engage goes down onto Stanalicious by the bottom lane of Jimmy and Friends. It looks like he'll be able to get out.
Yeah, so
Although he does commit his
Stanalicious...
flash. Oh, he could be in trouble here. Zero
Kuyakim
chains
connects the
connection from
chains,
Kuyakim.
and he gets out. So a rather risky move from Stanalicious. He probably incorrectly assumed that because his team just took the dragon, he would have the pressure to take Krugs and then leave. But, you know, Fried Chicken 219 was able to come back into lane. They forced him off it. Does have to lose his flash for that, though. So that could come in handy. We could probably note that for later, for a later team fight. But everybody should be resetting just because both objectives did just got traded. Probably expect the next play around wherever Noment decides to use the Herald.
Okay, him going aggressive. The chains connects. Does he have enough damage? And he backs off after being silenced.
It would have been hilarious if he died to the static shiv that Kuya
Yeah, absolutely.
just picked up.
I was half expecting that to happen, to be honest.
Maybe next time. As we see One Death Power Spike in the bush trying to cover for perhaps a gank from the jungler. Stanlicious is just gonna be noted towards mid, which means Noment is gonna go pick up the Raptor camp. But that does mean that support is missing from bot side, so maybe this gives time for Killian and Leon of Grotto to get some vision down.
It looks like a play might be happening topside as Noman takes a blast cone, summons the Rift Herald. It looks like they're looking for the Ornn here, but Ornn just solo kills, gets the shutdown onto Dahan. A little bit of a unfortunate mishap there as Mordekaiser dies while the Rift Herald is being summoned.
It's probably a miscommunication between the teammates. Dahan did opt for his 1v1, maybe to try to poke down Phantom Xerox, but Phantom Xerox was not having any of it, and he was like, you know, you want to fight? I got you, bro.
Yeah, he just turns around and goes in. Chains are going to connect.
Kim goes in, Moment Cataclysms, Sammy flashes, end of the play. As now, I mean, nothing more should happen. We have some more poking coming in from the bot laners. But this gives temporary river control over to live Wo-Chien reaction. We do see Trinity.
Chicken 219.
Yeah, we see first items coming in for most of the laners here. And we do see the Trinity Force Draven once again. We have the Collector from Killian trying to perhaps match the gold generation. Yeah, Collector as a first item is probably okay this patch, just because with the ADC or item reworks and stuff, you don't really have to go with Mythic first item. You can go second or third, depending on some of the builds that you see pop up. That's a pretty big power spike, considering that Collector, I believe, is one of the higher lethality items in the game right now. And Dragon is coming up in a minute. Some more trading off of the bot lane here to try to bait in a fight. Noman is here, though, and that gets countered by the Tarek ultimate. Which is good that Jimmy and friends are able to bring up, and it looks like they're going to keep going as the teleport from Sammy's going to come in. Kuikem is here though, and he's going to get silenced, and at the end of the day, both sides are just gonna walk away.
Dahan looks like he might be in danger here. Warnell connects. Stanlicious is here to gank, but Dahan turns around, sending Phantom Xerox to the death realm. This could just be a solo kill.
Oh. So the Han landed everything there, and that's probably what he anticipated to happen the last time he ulted Phantom Xerox. And we have Noman going back for a Cataclysm, huge 3-man ulti, but
Oh, but the
Samira's gonna get
Samira
the
ultimate.
Samira ultimate, and double kill goes over to Killian. Kuyakin gets one back though.
Meanwhile, Dahan gets a solo kill. Oh, Fried
And
Chicken
it's
is
just
also
chaos across
chasing
the
in the
map.
bottom lane.
Killian gets 2. Oh, Kuyakin's going for another one. He dies. Fried Chicken Total wants to cash in, but he's unable to do so.
Oh no.
And Killian leaves the fight with 7 kills total to his name.
Yeah, that's a disastrous outcome for side of Jimmy and Friends with so many kills onto the Samira. She now has her Dust Blade finished. The snowballing for the Collector really paying off here.
I believe the way that the Dustblade interaction works is that whenever Samira gets a reset or a kill, in this case, kill or assist, she becomes like invulnerable. She can't get targeted, or not invulnerable. She becomes untargetable. So she's gonna be ulting and getting the invulnerability procs or
Yeah,
untargetable procs.
I believe the interaction with it was originally bugged because you're only untargetable until you do damage. So in terms of Samira, I think there was an issue with her like ulting and just hitting people in her ultimate and obviously damaging them, but not like still not becoming targetable. But I believe that's been fixed, although it is still a good item on her.
Yeah, she's gonna like the chances of trying to go into at least 3 members of Jimmy and Friends with low armor values. Fried Chicken 219 is caught out. Sammy outplayed him there. After Live Wo-Chien reaction decides to take the second track, Chemtech Drake. There
We
we go.
see just the immense strength of this lockdown on the side of Live Wo-Chien reaction. You know, they hit their R buttons and all of a sudden Draven can't move.
Yeah, I could see in maybe the post game for game 2. Sammy, you didn't land enough R's last game. That's why we lost. We're putting you on an easier champ. Malzahar was what was decided. Kuikim's gonna go in and try to find a pick on to Killian, but he's gonna fall. 1 power spike is going to be okay, but we see another fight going for Rift Herald. As we're trying to
They
see
have
who's
to be
gonna take the
careful
Rift
here.
Herald. Yeah, as Killian's not here, Nomans is caught.
He could be in a bad
Sanalicious
position
leaves.
though. We see Fried
Fried
Chicken
Chicken
focusing
219.
down the
Oh,
Samira, and the
Samira falls
Targold is
before the
just
ultimate
seconds
comes
too
in.
late.
And all that's left is pretty much just the tank, so we're gonna have a pretty long fight ahead of us.
They are outnumbered here. Fried Chicken should go down. Oh, but an insane Draven E allows him to
Oh.
self-peel just enough.
Yeah, so we were talking about this actually before the game of how Live Wo-Chien Reaction has a pretty low range comp. So we see that come into fruition here with the Han, who has his Leandries, or not his Leandries, his Demonic Embrace, his Rylai's, and we just have the entirety of Live Wo-Chien Reaction sitting on top of Dahan, and Dahan's just not, and Dahan just is just not able to go down. He's able to output so much
Yeah,
damage
absolutely.
in such a
He
closed
has
area.
he has the Jack show. You know, he has 3 items completed, like you said, with the demonic, with the Rylai's. He's even got uh, he's even got the Ninja Tabai. And he's just pretty much unkillable. He's actually huge now. It's kind of crept up on us, but he's 8-1 with a 700 gold bounty.
Yeah, so it's gonna be the battle of
I
Mordekaiser
believe
versus Samira.
the shutdown on Samira also went to him.
Yeah, so we're gonna be curious to see if Killian can take down Dahan. And that'll probably decide at least this portion of the game. Rift Herald does get used. and takes down tier 1 mid tower, opening up the map. We see our next dragon coming up in 2. Baron is up. Supports have their mythic items for Locket, which I would agree with for both sides here. These fights are going to be decided on who can get the first kill, probably. Dahan finds Phantom Xerox as he's forced to dash away. And yeah, we're going to try to see. We're going to try to check Dahan and Killian in these fights.
Yeah, for sure. These two monstrously fed champions on either team. One thing that's interesting is probably no one can really match Dahan right now in terms of the split push. But if they're to fight, he does kind of need to be with his team. So in terms of how Jimmy and friends want to play out that balance, it'll be really important to make sure that while Dahan's not there to join the fight, we don't have things happening again where Jimmy and friends, their carries are getting caught out by the really potent pick potential of Malzahar, Sejuani, Ornn, and Tarek.
Yeah, so what I'm looking for from both sides actually is to see what their lane allocation is. It seems that Jimmy and Friends is looking to contest this dragon, which I don't necessarily agree with. But they are choosing to try to take away Soul Point from live Wo-Chien reaction. Perhaps get some fights.
Malzahar ultimate going to get committed. Huge cataclysm by Jarvan and fails in the fight. When the power spike goes down, Fried Chicken is free hitting. Samira is getting her ultimate off, but has to flash over the wall. But this Mordekaiser is just hitting so incredibly hard. Takes down 1, takes down 2, is about to take down a third as Wo-Chien gets the kill onto Stanlicious. Another kill legendary for the Mordekaiser, with Fried Chicken just free hitting the Ord in the background.
And we see a huge fight coming out of
That's
Dahan
the
here.
side of Jimmy and friends.
So we see right here. Wait, actually, we actually quite clearly see the difference in how that fight played out for both the Mordekaiser and the Samira. Samira got her full combo off. She was spinning away with her ultimate, and Dahan's like, "I'm just gonna bonk you." He does quite so, and because Killian is the only source of damage for a live Wo-Chien reaction, Dahan's able to just clean up the rest of the fight, and everyone else who is alive, who was left alive on live Wo-Chien reaction, just has to run away. So Jimmy and Friends manages to get the dragon, and now they are in probably they're probably pretty happy with themselves right now with how they're feeling for this game.
Yeah, they're in a good spot. Mordekaiser, like you said, just Dahan coming up huge in that fight, and Samir just not having the damage to cut through it. She does go for the Bloodthirster third, so she's still lacking some crucial armor penetration that she might need to cut through the strong front line. In terms of Jimmy and friends, now they're looking to contest the Baron area, maybe set up for Vision.
Yeah, so we see the problem with the Dustblade build. Just not enough penetration to cut through the Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser stats, maybe perhaps that should have been a Last Whisper, or Lord Dominic's Regard second item, just looking ahead towards the future. Dahan is going to start off this fight onto Phantom Xerox, Nullment is going to Shadow, and unfortunately does not... His presence is just going to allow for Phantom Xerox to go down as Stanlicious tries to help, and is taken out. We see...
So incredibly tanky, winning out on these extended fights.
Yeah, we see Live Wo-Chien reaction trying to push mid. I think that they should at least try to look for the Baron here, as Koyakim is also splitting towards bot side. And it's going to be up to Killian and Leon and Grotto to stop this Baron take.
You have things like the Tower Ultimate, the Mazar Ultimate available, so they're finding it very difficult to lock up the
Yeah, there's short range comp without any poke. Killian is trying to find a way to go in. Leon and Grotto presses R. Killian goes in and just kills Dahan and one Death Power Spike. Is able to secure the Baron. And we have a triple kill for Killian.
Yeah, just Mordekaiser getting taken too low. Malzahar still doing a potent amount of damage, and eventually the chip damage got him into an execute range for a quick Samira combo. well timed with the Terror Cult, and now live Wo-Chien reaction, they're able to push the mid-second tier tower and potentially begin seeding the inhibitor.
So yeah, well played decision making from the side of live Wo-Chien reaction. They're rewarded with the Baron, and now they should probably look to reset, or maybe they should bush cheese here. Nope, they decide to go reset, and they're gonna try to use this Baron to try to open up the map a bit more. Killian does pick up the Last Whisper and also picks up the QSS, so maybe he's going to negate Dahan's Shadow Realm. Realm of Death is the name of it apparently. And we get to see how live Wo-Chien reaction uses his Baron to try to close out this game, or at least put them in a really good position to end this game
Yeah,
and take it to
definitely.
game 4.
The gold lead has pretty much shored up where it was previously heavily in favor of Jimmy and Friends. It's now just around 2.5k, so really not much. LeBlanc getting a tiny bit amount of damage in there with the static shiv auto onto Leon of Grotto.
Yeah, I'm looking at the gold differentials between the two like carries. So like Dahan is up 5k over his lane opponent, or 6k give or take, and then Killian's up 7k over or 6k as well over fried chicken, and we see that perhaps maybe the scaling from Samira is going to outpace the Mordekaiser now, as
Yeah,
Mordekaiser is kind of forced to build into tank now.
she does have her Lord Dominic's regards as well, and that's something to note. So all of a sudden, with these double items, with her QSS available for the Mordekaiser ultimate, the front line of Jimmy and Friends is really not that tanky to this Samira really approaching her full late game build. And with the Tarek ultimate available, all of a sudden it puts Jimmy and Friends in a very difficult spot.
It seems that Jimmy and Friends is trying to contest this inhibitor push. I'm not too sure if I agree with this. But they are going to try to not give up too much space against the Samira comp.
The dragon is coming up, so
yeah, this is the third dragon. This should be soul point for live Wo-Chien reaction, but Jimmy Friends is going to look to contest. Lion Grotto's in the bush. He's going to get a stun onto Dahan, and we're going to just have all the ultimates come in. And we have the Tark ultimate online. Samira is spinning. She's spinning. Who's going to be the first to die? It's going to be Noma, and then Dahan, and then
looks like it could be a pentakill.
Everybody. Quadra kill?
It's a quadra, yeah.
Quadra. I don't know who died at the end. But that is nice for live Wo-Chien reaction. And it seems that they're just going to walk it down and going to bring us to a game 4, and they're going to be up 2-1.
Yeah, and just really well executed from live Wo-Chien reaction, bouncing back from a game state where they had thrown a lot of their kills. It was looking dicey for a second with all the kills on the Mordekaiser, but Samira really coming back in the late game, able to capitalize off this incredibly beefy front line, offering up the setup for her. As Jimmy and Friends are going to make one last-ditch attempt to keep live Wo-Chien reaction from deleting their Nexus. Samira is spinning once again. And she's just getting reset after reset.
That's all they wrote. Another quadra kill for Killian. He wants the penta. Can he get it? Oh, Kuiken denies him.
And that's the end of game 3.
Yeah, so we have the stats here. We notice that Killian has done close to 45k damage, and Dahan is up there, 38k, but not quite enough to take down Killian, as the peel from the Sejuani, the Ornn, the Malzahar, the Tarek was just way too much for Jimmy and Friends to deal with.
Yeah, I really think the Tarek pick was just really strong here. It gave them that much needed flexibility in terms of how they want to fight. it really bought a lot of time along with the rest of just like the CC and the tanky lockdown on the side of live Wo-Chien reaction to really allow the Samira to play slowly and end up free hitting in fights.
Yeah, we saw here that the adaptation. Oh,
Okay, got it. Thank you.
okay. I believe. I don't know if we're getting a break or whatever, but we're going to have Jimmy and friends select red side for game 4. I would like to see. Oh, I like, for the most part, the draft towards Jimmy and friends. I just think that perhaps if they had maybe a playmaker towards the bot side as opposed to Braum, they could try to expose the 2v2 again. The Tarek was able to allow Killian to be in a place where he didn't have to necessarily snowball laning phase to get into mid and late game. So that was some stability that the Tarek pick provided.
All right, we'll be back for game 4. We're going to a short break. Otherwise, see you then for game 4. We'll see whether Live Wo-Chien reaction will be able to close out the series, or if Jimmy and friends is able to mount a comeback and bring us to silver scrapes. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Game 4 of Jimmy and Friends versus Live Wo-Chien Reaction. And uh, right now, Live Wo-Chien Reaction is up 1 game. And as the bands go through, we'll see if Jimmy and Friends are able to adapt themselves appropriately to be able to make this comeback, or if Live Wo-Chien Reaction will be able to close it out.
Yeah, we see the first round of bans just going in really rather quickly. Just a reminder that before the break, Jimmy and Friends did elect to take red side for this game. So we see that bans heading from, or Jimmy and Friends took red side, so Live Witch and Reaction took blue. They actually banned out the Draven, and that means we're probably gonna get new ADC picks as both the Draven and the Samira are banned. We see that Tristana is picked up for Killian, and Fried Chicken 219 has locked in the Twitch. Really aggressive bot lane so far out of Killian. Perhaps might be trying to say that no matter what you do to ban me out, I have another pick for you. Jamie and Francis is gonna lock up the Viego. A pretty comfortable pick for Noman, as far as I recall. And they just want to swap it up from the Jarvan that they've been running. Perhaps give some more agency to Noman. To try to find some more like duels for himself. We see that the
Sorry, go.
we saw that the another Orin pick has been locked in. Leon Grotto is going to go back to his Amumu that was giving them so much success in game 1. And that's going to round out the bot lane for Live Chen Reaction. And we see the Tom as a response, which can go either to top or support for Jimmy and Friends.
Yeah, already on the side of Live Chain Reaction, we're seeing kind of a extremely beefy again lockdown type of frontline to really enable again this time the Tristana hyper carry. Meanwhile, on the side of Jimmy and Friends, we see something a little more protective, a little more peel based for the Twitch in terms of the Tom Kench, and then a more aggressive jungle pick in terms of the Viego.
it seems that we have this probably the same or similar, very similar bans to game 3. Where instead of the Yone getting banned, we have the Yasuo. Um, we're gonna have another match of Ornn versus Mordekaiser, as that gets locked in for the top laner. Hold on, I'm finding the name. Dahan. And that just doesn't really leave too much open for live Wo-Chien reaction, as they have to go blind the Rammus, or not necessarily blind the Rammus, but they also have to go and blind their mid laner again. They're like, Sammy, you did such a good job on Malzahar. We're going to put you on it. And Sammy is probably protesting really heavily right now, as he's trying to lock in anything else. And they opt to go for the Azir.
Yeah, great playmaking ability from the Azir, and a very similar theme to last game in terms of the draft of Live Wo-Chien reaction. This time they have the Tristana and the Azir, both very potent. Hyper Carry is able to dish out a lot of DPS with 3 extremely beefy frontline members. It'll be interesting to see. The last pick is a Yone for the side of Jimmy and Friends, and it'll be interesting to see what they can do to kind of get past this insanely tanky CC frontline and look with maybe the Viego, the Yone, and the Mordekaiser ultimate to find tools to be able to access that Tristana and Azir.
It seems that the Yone pick was known from Live Wo-Chien reaction, because it was banned in games 2 and 3. There kind of seemed to be baiting, maybe taunting Kuya Kim to go pick this Yone into the Azir, and he does decide to go and meet this challenge. It's funny that you say Azir with a bunch of playmaking. I'm not quite too sure if you recall the Azir that Sammy brought out last game, but he was missing quite a few ults. So hopefully he put some more time onto that champion. He'll show us something better. The Rammus pick is a really nice pick into the Viego, just because armor stacking, very simple like combo into the Viego. Just try to roll in and try to peel him away.
Yeah, the Rammus is definitely quite a good pick into this comp with 2 very strong AD carry champions in the Twitch and the Yone. We have seen like Mordekaiser, has the carry potential, has the ability to dish out the magic damage, but Rammus definitely proves problematic for the Twitch pick and for the Yone pick.
Okay, my question mark heading into actual champion selects is to see how well the mid lane matchup goes, and how well Fried Chicken 219 can stave off the pressure from a Tristana Amumu bot lane, which has a lot of tools to start fights and go in. I don't think Tom Kench has enough peel to deal with both engage options from ADC or support, but should be able to perhaps stave a little bit off. I did say before the break that I wanted to see something more proactive on Tom Kench, so I'm curious to see how well One Death Power Spike will pilot this champion. Because I kind of think of Tom Kench as a more defensive pick, but perhaps we're going to see some pretty cool engages off of perhaps like off of his jumping in, and maybe Yone off screen to assist.
Yeah, for sure. With Twitch being the weaker early game champion, especially in early laning in this 2v2 matchup, uh, wanting to see whether he'll weather the storm and really maybe look for more opportunities outside of lane once he scales a little bit, be one of the main things we're watching out for this game.
Yeah, if Twitch is able to perhaps stave off laning phase from Tristana, Mumu, and Rammus, and find unique angles to open up later on, I could definitely see us being taken to a game 5 throughout all the chaos that Yone and Mordekaiser can create for during team fighting.
And with that, we will be headed towards a quick break as we load into game 4 of Live Wo-Chien Reactions versus Jimmy and Friends.
Need a stream. All right, welcome back to game 4 of Ornn versus Mordekaiser. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. But there is an Ornn and Mordekaiser in this game. But the game is actually going to be live Wo-Chien reaction versus Jimmy and friends, who are up or who are down 1-2 so far in this best of 5. We see another standard fan out from both sides, and again, nothing should happen because both teams aren't really meant to do anything right now. I'm caught up.
Oh, just gonna be a standard 5-point level 1.
Standard 5-point level 1. And now that we have different junglers, we don't have these same like AoE teamfight junglers. I'm curious to see how the jungler's path. We do see that we do keep the aggressive bot lane off of live Chen reaction, but now we have like single target Rammus versus like single target Viego. Are these guys going to continue the path towards bot, or are they going to path away and try to influence top side again?
I do think that the bot lane does have decent snowball potential on both sides. And there's some great setup on the side of Amumu. I'm wondering if he'll be looking for... If Stanalicious will be maybe looking for an early level gank after he finishes his first few camps. A little bit of a trade going down the top side, just procking the grasp for the side of Phantom Xerox.
Yeah,
And a little bit of a trade going down on the bottom side.
Yeah, I don't expect too much to happen early on. Dahan does hit level 2 first, and does force a flash out of Phantom Xerox. Phantom Xerox should be able to stabilize, but we'll probably check back on that if that flash matters. Expect nothing really to happen until we see perhaps some levels onto the bot side. Killian and Leo Grotto did manage to lose the push, so they do lose that window to get the level 2 power so I can go in. But Stanalicious is going to charge in towards the mid lane, and just says hi as he pats down or pats towards his blue side. Both junglers are just going to go for a full clear here. And so far, I think Jimmy and Friends is happy with how the bot side is going. They're able to stave off initial pressure from Tristana, like Buster Shot, and force her under the tower. This does give maybe Crab Prio to Nomant here. But so far, early push for mid and bot is what they should be like okay with.
Dahan just gonna let this wave accumulate very nicely. Pick up some
Phantom
CS turn
Xerox.
stuff.
Yeah, Phantom Xerox being level 4 does dissuade him from trying to take initial trade, even though he's so far up without his flash. Dahan should note that his jungler is on the opposite side of the map. So if he were to go and fight Phantom Xerox, he could be drawing the attention of Stanalicious, which should have just gotten marked because he walked over a ward that Dahan just placed, to confirm that he is in fact taking the crab.
Oh, engage
Nomant
coming in from One Death Power Spike. The Moon Q goes wide, but Noman's in danger here. Killian flashes aggressively in, and now he's exhausted. He has no out without the rocket jump available, and that's first blood going over to Friedrich and 219. Are they looking for a second one onto the Amumu? It looks like they won't have enough damage.
Yeah, so it seems that the path that Nomant took was actually through the jungle of Live Chain Reaction, but he was spotted on the ward, but Killian and Leonagato were a bit slow to react. So they were halfway up the lane, and they get punished for it.
But they could be overextending here. Greeting for Leon of Grotto. Tomkench has committed his E, and now Twitch is taunted. He has no out this time with the exhaust. Amumu is forced to flash out, however. And Fried Chicken 219 is just going to go down with Killian looking for a second kill into One Death Power Spike. The taunt connects. Can he flash over the wall? He does make it, but but Rocket Jump does follow, and Killian gets the second kill. 2 kills now onto the Tristana.
So what ended up happening there was that there was a mistake from Noman, actually. After getting the kill bot side, he should be trying to assist his laners to get the push in. That way, fight. That way his bot lane can go back and take advantage of the fact that they just won a team fight. They didn't, so they took longer to push in the wave, and Stano was just able to come by and get the return gank and get some kills back over to Killian.
Oh, we see a trade coming in the top lane. E lands from the Mordekaiser as Dahan hits 6. Ornn is out of mana. He might just be stuck here. He's flashless as well.
Ooh.
And Dahan picks up the kill onto Phantom Xerax. The early laning going a bit better for him this time, where he was being solo killed in previous games, but this time he's able to pick up one of his own on the flashless Ornn.
Yeah, so we saw that the flash burned earlier is going to be useful here. It was about a minute off from coming off cooldown, and that does mean that Phantom Xerax will go down. Good play from Dahan to be able to capitalize on that. As we see, junglers doing their second rotation at camps, and some items being bought by the ADCs are able to cash in. It seems that Fried Chicken is actually going to go for the AP Twitch build.
Yeah, I noticed that's super interesting here, actually. Dahan taking another aggressive trade onto Phantom Xerax. He's still flashless, he's taking a lot of HP, but he shouldn't die here. He is forced off quite a bit though, and is thinking about recalling after being chunked out so much on that trade.
I'm actually a huge fan of the AP Twitch build right now, especially if he does manage to get the Static Shiv as well, just for additional AP damage. That does allow for Twitch to be able to get his 3 attacks off really quickly with his Halo Blades, and be able to maybe perhaps, press E or expunge and allow him to perhaps get that reset before Killian and Sammy knew what hit them.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it makes it a lot easier for him to get his damage out in fights, whereas if he went AD to get like the full value out of the items he's building. Oh, Cleo Kim going in. Quick trade.
I don't know if Stanilich was able to note that Noman was backing in front of him in the river. The minimap didn't quite show me. But regardless, Noman being off the map does mean that live Wo-Chien reaction is going to pick up the Ocean Drake, as Noman is trying to quickly get the 6 and try to see if he can start getting some stuff done. So far, pretty quiet game from him. Very different from what we saw in games 2 and 3, where he was on the drive-in and looking for some plays. He's trying to get his ultimate, and maybe we'll see something afterwards.
It looks like they're starting up potentially the Rift Herald in the top side. Waiting.
Yeah, so Noman, recognizing that Dragon was taken, he's going to go for the cross-map play, but taking the Herald. He should be trying to relay to this Twitch and Tom that bot side is, like, his bot side jungle is just not their control right now. Kuya Kim is going to do a little bit of exploring to try to figure out where the Rammus is, and I believe he did see them. We'll try to see if Stanilich is going to go in for a gank. He does choose instead to recall, and that should be it for now. Rift Herald was picked up by Nomit.
Actually, Soundlicious is going to change gears and maybe look for something. Goes unstoppable, taunts the Tom Kench, but this should be pretty safe. And actually, Fried Chicken is going to start hitting back with his ultimate.
I actually like the attempt that Stanilich did there for the engage, but just quite not enough range to taunt the Twitch.
Yeah, if he was in range, if he had been able to CC the Twitch, and the Amumu is a very easy follow-up, even if it's a dive, they're definitely able to tank a few hits there with how tanky Amumu and Rammus are.
I want to say off screen, there was probably some trading going on top side. Both top laners no longer have their flash. I would expect Noment to probably come up to that top lane again with his Rift Herald and utilize the Rift Herald there. I would think the best play though is try to use it mid. Maybe try to get some, maybe like a dive. Maybe call Tom Kench over, and try to get this mid turret out of the way so Azir can stop farming safely. Because this is kind of on the burden of Jimmy and friends to try to look for these early engages and choose the tempo that they want to play at, because they are running into Sammy or Azir and Tristana late game. The longer this goes on.
Okay, Kim getting a bit of a nits trade, but he's probably just gonna back off and reset. See Killian's just taking a plate on the bottom side, but Moment is thinking about doing something.
Did he get that turret?
Unfortunately, Tristana just gets the rocket jump away. Nothing
Yeah,
too much happening.
killing with the Kraken Slayer, trying to get as much gold as possible by taking out the turret plate, but he only manages to get one. But he does have some time left, so he'll probably be able to get that that second plate soon. So far, the rest of the map has been pretty quiet. I believe Jimmy and friends might be playing this a little bit too solely, but they do have the pressure of this being an elimination game for them. So Killian and Sammy are fine to just play this slower tempo for now.
Yeah, they do have the dragon coming up in about a minute 20. I have a feeling that both teams will probably look to try and contest that. Twitch is here taking a plate, and no one is bot side to summon the Rift Herald, put some more gold into the pockets of fried chicken on the Twitch. They do have to be careful here though, as Stanalicious on the Rammus is also bot side. They're all hovering around this Drake that's going to be spawned soon. Can probably expect to see some sort of standoff happen.
I'm curious to see if that Rift Herald was going to time out soon, because them using that Herald bot at the HP that they did use it at means that that tower does not go down, and they only get to get some plate money off of that.
It would have been much better timing also pressure-wise to use it, you know, when the dragon was actually on the map.
Yeah. But regardless, Noment does use the Herald. Dragon's coming up in 20 seconds.
Which is actually going to take his 4th plate and walk off. Very surprising in a matchup where you would kind of expect Tristana Mumu to have the priority.
Yeah, I'm looking towards Fried Chicken 219 to look for a base before this dragon. He did greed this a little bit. But he should have enough gold to finish his first item, which would definitely come in handy for this next dragon fight. Oh, there's a teleport.
Oh, and that's ultimate committed to the Tom Kench. Mumu ult committed. There are 4 people bot lane as the Han teleports in. Killian is just stuck by himself with nowhere to go, and the kill is going to go over to Nolman with great timing right before this dragon spawn. This should mean an uncontested dragon pickup for the side of Jimmy and friends.
That's actually an amazing teleport from the Han there. He's picking up on the fact that Killian was going to try to go push this wave in before the dragon came up. And then Fried Chicken 219, who did set up this by pushing the wave in, means that Killian does have this false sense of security that, hey, Twitch is going to go back, get his item. This is my time to go get the plate or get the tower. And instead, the Han TP's in, free kill for him, and they get a dragon out of it.
Yeah, very well played. Good read on the macro right before the dragon spawns. Twitch is finally going to get his reset off. A little bit of a dangerous territory. He does get to base safely, and now he's walking out with his Gnasher's Tooth completed. Tom Kench does opt for the locket here.
And yeah, that base out of Fried Chicken was like, you guys are not going to find me, and he definitely would not have canceled that even if he was in danger.
Looks like Tristan is just gonna go for the tower. This could be dangerous for her. However, she's just gonna be stunned by the Tahm Kench passive. Jumps out of the way, but that's well within Twitch's expunge range, and this should just be another easy pickup for Twitch. He can chase. Doesn't even need
Nice.
to. Meanwhile, topside Stanley just has to commit his flash to get away from Dahan. Just things are falling apart for instead of live Wo-Chien reaction.
Yeah, so the map was pretty split up at that point. I believe Live Wo-Chien Reaction was actually looking to send more members towards the Herald, but a little bit desynced, as well as the fact that Killian was also forcing the bot lane tower down, means that there is no help from Live Wo-Chien Reaction's bot lane to get to the Herald. So a little bit disjointed, and they actually end up losing on both the top and the bot side of the map.
Sammy is getting jumped on here by Kim. Manages to narrowly evade the Yone ultimate with its shifting sands.
And yeah, so far this is a decent game pace for Jimmy and friends. They're able to win out on the bot side and top side fights. Oh, engage from Sammy here.
That looks like one death power spike is just going to be taken down. They're overextended a little bit too far. Overstayed a bit into live Wo-Chien reactions jungle. Good flash by the Twitch, however, keeps him out of the Emperor's Divide. However, that does mean his flash is down for any potential fights that may happen in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, so that was probably a byproduct of whatever happened the past like 2 minutes with all the fighting. Fried Chicken 219 and One Death Power Spec thought they were in a position where they could take advantage of their pressure bot side. Kuya Kim is looking for an engage. He does find it.
Actually goes back in. And the shutdown does go down to Fried Chicken, but we have Noman getting the reset, getting a double kill. He's looking for more. Flashes towards line of Greta Line. Greta has to flash as well to get himself out, but he could be chasing with the movement speed. The stun does connect onto Stanalicious, and this should be another pickup. And now the Viego with 4 kills coming out of the back end of this fight. Definitely well played, capitalizing off the resets and making sure that his carry doesn't die in vain.
That fight looked really sketchy at first, because Killian managed to jump out, but Noman was just watching for Killian is like, oh, you're gonna get kills? I'll get your items later, and it just cleans up this fight really nicely, and just gets rewarded heavily for it. That was like, that was all the fact that Live Wo-Chien Reaction felt that they were stronger, because they were trying to go for the mid lane turret, and they didn't quite see everybody on the map. Nomad was able to find an angle later on into the fight, after all the chaos started taking place, and
Some aggression is going down
found
to
that
Sammy.
Wo-Chien.
Fried Chicken is chasing. Teleport is coming down. This could be another fight erupting as Fried Chicken starts putting the damage down on the Ornn. He gets taken down in the ultimate by Dahan, and that's another kill picked up for the side of Jimmy and friends.
Yeah, so teleports come in from both top laners. Dahan's like, it doesn't matter if you're a top lane, if you're mid lane, or if you're bot lane with all your team members, I'm gonna send you away with me, and I'll just beat on you just like we did back in laning phase for the past 3 games. And yeah.
Yep, the Mordekaiser for Dahan having another really strong showing as Killian opts to take the tower and jump away. Kuya looking for more, lands the ultimate, and that's just a kill picked up for Kuya Kim.
Really well played by Kuya Kim to take advantage of Killian split pushing there. And they get the shutdown off of Killian. I believe it was a shutdown. Or probably not. But they get the kill off of Tristana. And the second dragon going over to Jimmy and friends. As well as some bot lane pressure.
Yeah, meanwhile, Stanalicious forced to commit the ultimate in exchange for Tahm Kench's exhaust. We see the pings coming down onto the Ornn once again. This Mordekaiser is just so strong. Ready to fight. Twitch has had the crown completed for a little while now, and that makes him a lot more difficult of of a target. So some really good standard itemization here to make him much harder to focus down when he opens up.
Yeah, we also see that Noman is actually going to go for the Iceborne Gauntlets. I believe
Yeah.
that's what that is.
Yeah.
And that just lets him be able to stay in the fight a little bit longer just so that he can perhaps like get those resets that he's looking for. The Gale Force on Kuya Kim is pretty standard nowadays with the item rework. He no longer is able to build Shield Bow to get all the stats he's looking for, because I believe Shield Bow got downgraded. Gale Force is the mythic that lets him have the additional dash, which is always nice to have when you're a melee character. And so far we see that Jimmy and Friends has tempo towards the Baron. And we're going to try to see how well they set up for this. As killing gets a small chunk. And Fried Chicken
He's being
209 is
hunted
going
by
to go
fried
in.
chicken. Oh, and there's just so much damage.
Yeah, with no Amumu in sight, Fried Chicken is gonna go spray and pray. And the Han goes in.
They're looking for more here in Line of Grotto. He's just unable to get out. That's 2 kills again over to the side of Jermaine Friends, and they're quickly taking control of this game.
Yeah, we see there, Fried Chicken 219 is taking advantage of his Crown of the Shattered Queen to find a pick onto Killian, and that opens up the Baron for them.
The Baron's going down very quickly, and it doesn't look like Live Wo-Chien Reaction is going to contest. Instead, they opt to push the mid lane tower, push the mid lane wave in. But yeah, Jimmy and Friends come out on top. 5k gold lead at 20 minutes now. Pretty solid advantage that they've built for themselves, and we'll see what they're going to do with the Baron push.
Yeah, I want to say that the gold lead for game 2 at this point was like 10k for Jimmy and Friends. They have half that this time, but now that they have the pressure of the Baron, we'll look to see what they do to set up the next couple minutes. Dragon's up in 2 minutes, so now they can just solely focus on what they would like to do with lane allocations toward this Baron buff.
It's also
Like,
worth noting that the Gale Force committed by Kuya Kim. He might just be looking for a kill here, and so close. Killian just barely surviving off the tail end of the Yone E.
yep, it looks like Jimmy and Friends is not going to opt to push any like inhib towers with this Baron. They're just going to go for some kills, collect the outer turrets. Fried Chicken 219 does not die to the turret because he kills it before the shot goes off, or the shot connects.
A lot of
And
flashes being committed here as Sammy is forced to flash out. Nolman also commits his flash to try and get the kill, but overall, no further deaths.
yep, so far we are up 1 turret, if we don't count the fact that they lost mid tower a while back. Pretty good for now. They will have to start shifting their vision towards the dragon. Because they would also, Jimmy and Friends would also try to look for soul point here. At the moment, there's just so much damage on the side of Jimmy and Friends that everyone on Live Wo-Chien Reaction is getting forced back just for being in range of the carries.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth noting that aside from Tom Kench, all 4 members on the side of Jimmy and Friends, they're quite reasonably fed and easily capable of carrying a fight with their output. So that's something that Live Ocean Reaction really have to watch out for. There's not any single target that they can just focus down and, be confident that, like, maybe rest assured that they've won the fight. Instead, they have all these carry damage sets coming from, with like mixed damage coming from all 4 players.
Okay,
Dragon
so
gonna get
currently,
started up by Nolman.
yeah, the Dragon's gonna get started up. We see Sammy top lane, but he does have teleport. Live Wo-Chien Reaction is actually making the correct decision of not trying to force into like zero vision that they have, that they don't have. So they're just gonna farm some waves for a bit longer. Perhaps try to look for Killian to get his 3rd item, and Azir also his 3rd item. Pisana seems to be going for maybe BT. I think that's okay, but I would say that Lord Doms is probably better here. We'll see what he goes as the game progresses. Currently, live Wo-Chien reaction strategy is to just farm for a bit longer and try to see if they can probably find some picks off the Rammus and Moo combo, which I haven't quite seen too much this game. Low kill game from them so far.
Yeah, they do have a lot of lockdown theoretically if things go their way. As we see Rammus just walking into Dahan, has to use the ultimate to get out. Found himself a little bit overextended there.
Yeah, I could see
And
what he was
now Jimmy and
going
friends are on
for.
the chase.
Right now we have a stalemate. Jimmy and Friends is looking for Fried Chicken 209 to get a little bit closer before looking to re-engage. And it does seem that live Wo-Chien reaction is going to back off as Killian is looking for a base, unless...
Moments
No,
is
he's
walking
based already.
in. They might be chasing just down the bottom lane here. It is a minute and 40 only until Baron spawns, so they don't want to spend too much time on this bottom side of the map. They want to be able to set up.
Yeah, one of the issues with Jimmy and Friends' team composition is that they have a lot of fighting, but they don't have a lot of ways of starting that fight. They would much rather prefer if Live Wo-Chien reaction were to run into them, maybe they set the fight, and then Noman or Kuya Kim hops over like during the middle, and then that's how they'll turn the fight around. But until then, it's pretty much on the burden of Live Wo-Chien reaction to see if they would just give any fights over to Jimmy and Friends. The Baron could
Pushing
be the
down the mid
difference here.
lane. Kuya Kim predicting the rocket jump, and now Land of Grotto is alone. However, the Rammus comes in. The Twitch is taunted, and Freshian 219 is going to go down. The teleport coming in from Dahan, but he gets immediately Emperor divided back. He's going to be doing damage in the backline as Nolman arrives to the scene. And it looks like he's going to be cleaning up as Killian was in 1 HP taken down.
What's the game?
Tom Kench comes down onto the final last living member of Live Wo-Chien reaction, and that is going to be an ace for the side of Jimmy and Friends. It started out looking as such a bad fight, but or such a dicey fight rather, but they were able to turn around once all of their other members
Good
showed
element
up.
here. Yeah, so that fight started with Kuya Kim going in onto Killian. Killian managed to get away from Kuya Kim, but unfortunately for Leon Grotto, with the way that the Banish Toss interaction works, followed Kuya Kim all the way back towards where Kuya Kim found safety.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane.
And that bought enough time for both teleports to come in. Dahan found his way into the backline through a really well-placed ward or a minion, and Sammy was not really a factor for this fight, which meant that, again, all the pressure was on the Killian, who, again, wasn't really around for this, which meant that Jimmy and Freds found the angle to get the 3 for 5 or 2 for 5 team fight and the Baron. So this is the second Baron that they're going to take.
And just the insane amount of damage on all these pretty well-fed carries on the side of Jimmy and Friends that we talked to earlier. Just having there's so much danger in the fight for Killian that if he rocket jumps in like that or commits to a fight, it's very, very difficult for him to survive. So now Jimmy and Friends going to be sitting at 8k gold lead,
Okay, I'm curious
steadily
to see.
growing it.
Yeah, curious to see if Live Wo-Chien reaction is going to fight this. This is soul point or possible soul for Jimmy and Friends, but Jimmy and Friends does have the combat sets of the Baron. It seems that they're going to try to go look for something before the dragon spawns, which is probably their best chance of trying to get a team fight that is favorable. Sandalicious just goes in, but you can't find a solid engage. Sammy sets up his turret mid to try to deal with the push. Killian finds an angle onto Kuya Kim though. And
it looks
takes out
like
Kuya
he's
Kim.
just barely
Keep going.
going to take him down. No one flashes in, gets a Moo ulted to try and salvage the play. He's going to get Emperor's Divided as well, and he's going to be taken down before the dragon. So what seemed like a risky play on the ward with Killian jumping in actually pays off massively as the side of live Wo-Chien reaction, they're able to pick up this dragon and deny the soul.
So Killian has had it for the past like 3 or 4 team fights where Kuryu Kim is starting the fight onto him. He takes the fight to Kuryu Kim instead, and Jimmy and friends who were maybe a little bit overconfident with how the game was going were too split up to assist with Kuryu Kim. So Killian wins out on this team fight and manages to stop the bleeding that they've been suffering so far.
Yeah, this definitely breathes a little bit of life back into the side of live Wo-Chien reaction. Shutdown on the Viego, going over to the Tristana, I believe, or I'm not sure actually. That might have been the that might have been Sammy on the Azir that the shutdown went down to. But yeah, this is potentially if things like this keep happening, there could be real signs of light that they're showing for this game. The gold lead is not too massive as we have seen, and it's still on the side of Jimmy and friends to find a way to close out this game from the advantageous position that they're in.
Yeah, I would say the gold lead has been roughly the same since it was 10 minutes ago, right? Like around 5k, 6k. Most of the items, I would say the gold distribution is actually still better for Jimmy and friends, as Killian did, as still with Killian with pretty much close to most of the kills. For Wo-Chien reaction, we see that the gold values are actually pretty even right now across the board, except
He's
for
actually ahead
the
of the
difference in top and
Twitch.
jungle.
Interestingly enough, Killian actually is ahead of Fried Chicken currently. I would assume that's from the CS differential, combined maybe a little bit with the shutdown. So yeah, this is some real comeback potential here in the hands of the AD carry.
Yeah, but now that both teams know that, both teams should be aware of um, how they should start favorable team fights. I'm curious to see if any lanes are going to split up as much as they used to, now that they know that Killian is a big threat now that he has his three and a half items, right? And I guess we won't see anything more until the Baron comes up in 2 minutes. Mythics wise, don't see anything out of the ordinary this game. We do see a Mumu with the I forgot what that item was.
Radiant Virtue, the Ornn item.
Radiant Virtue upgraded into Primordial Dawn.
Primordial Dawn, that is such a
Yep.
cool name.
For a small price of getting a little bit more of all the stats it gives. It allows Leona Grotto to maybe keep Killian and Sammy alive for a little bit longer. It used to have cooldown reduction, now it doesn't do that anymore. We also see Sammy with 3 items, 3.5 items, give or take. I would like to see some more, I don't know, maybe a Rylai's to help Killian stay alive a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's an important thing to note that Tristana and the Azir, they're both hyper carries capable of dishing out insane DPS in the late game when they are hitting all these items in their build, and they're each in their own right able to do more than enough to carry a fight by themselves. So that's definitely something that the side of Jimmy and friends should be aware of at this point and will need to watch out for. Looks like Jahan
Stanilus
with
just
some
shows
more
on the bot side of the
damage.
map, but it doesn't seem to matter because Baron's not up. Both sides just seem to be trying to trade for vision control. I would like to see Jimmy and Fred's place more priority on looking for these wards, as Dahan's gonna recall before Baron responds.
The dragon is spawning in 30 seconds, and that's another potential for soul to into the hands of Jimmy and friends. So that might actually be where we see our next fight take place, or potentially looking at something like a
I would
Baron Dragon
say,
trade.
yeah, I would say if there was going to be a priority list for objectives, Jimmy and Friends, they want the Baron. They're pretty short range comp. They have trouble starting fights. The best way you can start a fight is taking the fight to them, right? So maybe if you pressure around the towers by having Baron buff, you're gonna force live Wo-Chien reaction to be like, oh, maybe we should fight here. So they might go in, and that's what you would want out of enemy team comp here. Instead,
Nevertheless,
yeah, they're gonna posture for the dragon.
it does appear that they're going to be occupying the Dragon Era. We do notice that there are 3 stopwatches on the side of Jimmy and Friends, and it looks like this is where they might be planning to make a fight.
Yeah, we have one Zanya's over to Azir.
Munok
Moment.
connects. Emperor's Divide connects on Kuya Kim before he can cast his ultimate. Twitch is free hitting, but the damage isn't enough. He goes down. There's a triple kill for Sammy. Tristana still hitting in the back line. Dahan taking 2 down with him. Flashed on by Killian, and that is an ace actually for the side of Live Wo-Chien reaction. Just a disastrous outcome in terms of it looks like Noman got a little bit caught out there, and when he was when One Death Paraspike tried to save him with the Tom Kench ultimate, he unfortunately also brought the Amumu Bandage Toss with that interaction, like you said.
Yeah, so Leon Grotto's like, last time I had trouble with my move, and this time it's gonna win us the game. Nomet, unfortunately, did get caught out there. His team tried to save him, and because we're using resources on the Viego, there weren't any resources left for the Yone or the Twitch. Kuya Kim dies before he manages to get his ultimate off, and they're able to. Killian's able to steamroll the fight, and we have the winners of our set for live Wo-Chien reaction.
Yeah, just well played there, really capitalizing on the mispositioning. Uh, Insane comeback for the side of Live Wo-Chien. It really looked like they were out of the game there, but good performance and kind of weathering the storm and playing to their scaling, playing to look for mistakes in the enemy team to bring us to a series win.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. We have Sammy here from Live Wo-Chien Reaction, coming off of his victory, 3-1. How do you feel, Sammy?
I feel good. I didn't lose to my rival Kuya Kim.
So we saw in game number 3 that you were placed onto the Malzahar. How did you feel about that?
Shit, it was my first time on the champion. I had to ask for my team for the whole abilities the whole game. I didn't know my E ability until like 10 minutes in.
That's pretty crazy. Did you, we also noticed that you were put back on the Azir for the final game, which you did not have as strong of a performance on in the first game. How did you feel about picking Azir a second time? Were there any kind of like doubts or, you know, uh, like second thoughts that you had maybe about like picking the champion again?
I didn't play Azir today, besides that last game.
Oh, you didn't play Azir.
Nope.
Sorry. Was it in a previous series? All right,
Yeah,
that's my bad
previous
then.
previous series.
Cause
Yeah.
I wasn't here for the first game.
Oh, good.
Uh,
I thought it was a
like,
pretty good pick. We needed damage, so Azir was the pick into that team.
Yeah, and you actually ended up doing the top damage on the side of your team. So definitely well played. Um, can you tell us a little bit about what was going through what was going through the minds of your team when you were down like 8k 5 to 8k gold in the mid game? Like what was your plan? What were you guys talking about to try and get yourselves back in to secure a victory?
Yeah, so
Completely honest, we were lost. We did not know what the fuck to do to salvage to win that game. But we said we were scaling. I know I was getting pretty strong, Killing was getting pretty strong, and then Orin items is pretty huge. We just had to pray they messed up, and luckily they messed up in that dragon fight because we should have lost. That game should
Yeah.
have been a loss. We got lucky.
Yeah, for sure, you guys um did do a great job of kind of like recognizing that you scaled with the Origin items again, like you said. Um,
Yep, good decision making to forego, I believe, the third dragon and just farm it out, buy some time, wait for them to make a mistake, and then they mispositioned, and you guys were able to capitalize off of that.
All right. Strong series performance from all of you guys, and congratulations on making it to the finals. Do you have anything you want to say about your opponent? You have played against them once before, so anything you want to comment on that?
Yeah, fuck Ultracad. That's all I
Yes,
gotta say.
yeah. So Live Wo-Chien Reaction is going to face Scarlet Vengeance in the finals. They did face. These two teams did face. In round 3 of the bracket, and it was a 2-0 victory for Scarlet Vengeance at the time. So after that, Live Wo-Chien Reaction had to go play, I believe, 3 series, including this one, to make it back up here. And they'll face them sometime soon.
All right. Anything you want to say, just to wrap this up? Just anything you want to say about your team, about your anything, or about just like the match or anything in general. Go for it.
No, I have nothing.
Okay. Well then,
all right, then that's a wrap.
yep. Thank you guys all for watching, and we have one last series, one last best of 5 between Scarlet Vengeance and Live Wo-Chien Reaction. We should have a date established for that in the next few days, and we'll probably let you guys know. But stay tuned for that finals, and we'll figure out who will be the champions of the Spring Semester Showdown very soon. Have a good night.